Network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Running Point on YSN, a new look Running Point, a new era of Running Point. As we begin this new journey, I am your host, Anthony Hartwig.
They should know you by now.
I know, but I am in the captain's chair, and if you weren't here on Friday, you can just know that Ron Podesta has decided to step away from YSN to kind of pursue some other things. And then on Friday, we wished him all the best. But as they say in show business, the show must go on. And that's why I'm here hosting Running Point. Today, I'm with DJ Yoakley. Ty Bartell will be my co-host shortly. He's on his honeymoon.
What a wedding. What a wedding. My guy, now it's like 90 degrees, right, on Friday. He's in an all black tux with a black shirt, with a black tie. And of course, his wife, Ashley, beautiful in a white dress. So it was really interesting to me, but I was like, Ty, you got to be hot. He's like, I am sweating like you wouldn't believe. So great wedding. Happy for the happy couple. Jeff Bezos, another YSNer, and Paul Munson, his lovely wife, Carrie. We were all there. So happy to see Ty, and I think he's in Hocking Hills right now. So wherever I'm sure he's watching.
Yeah, because he was so excited about this opportunity, and he is so gung-ho about it, and we love Ty. I mean, what a always the big game calls. Like every time we get a good game, it seems to pop up on Ty Bartell.
Always. Big game Bartell.
Hopefully he brings the big game Bartell to Running Point, and we can get some clutch excitement from
I have no doubt in my mind that you two working together, this show is going to be the most knowledgeable, information-packed show that people are going to watch. And the thing that we didn't talk about Friday, Ant, is we're changing it up a little bit. Like, it's going to be the way that we wanted it from the jump is less national news, less national sports coverage, heavy on local, and, we'll pepper in regional as well. So, we're looking forward to that. We're starting off with some interviews, and the thing is, you can comment right now. Jeff saying there was a senator there. I don't know who he's talking about. That might be Senator Bud Alfonso. We did the Wedding Crasher thing.
A senator.
Like I don't know, a state senator.
If you put like a list of all the U.S. senators, I don't know if Jeff would recognize any of them.
Jeff had a really good idea that we go to Ty's wedding and we pretend to be other people, right? Like the Wedding Crashers. And Jeff had 4 names by the time that we were in the door. So we actually signed the guest thing, the check-in, whatever it is, I forget what it's called. I signed it Senator Bud Alfonso, and he signed it Ted Jameson. So it was funny. And by the end of the night, Jeff thought he was Senator Ted Jameson. He was doing like a Secret Service thing where he was talking into his watch, and we had to tell him that they don't talk into their watch.
Did he do the ear thing too, where he's like,
they talk into this? Jeff's wild. I mean, he's wild. Great wedding date, Jeff. But no,
I saw you broke out the pink.
I had the pink.
I saw it. That was fly.
Listen, so the last time I wore a suit or a shirt that goes, a dress shirt, I was like 210 pounds. So I'm down to $172, and I tried on all my dress shirts, and I look like I was wearing my dad's clothes. So my wife's like, "You're gonna have to go buy a shirt." So I went and bought a shirt. The only one I really found that I like was a pink shirt, and it ran me like $50. And I was like, man, Jeff's gonna hate me because I always bust his chops for wearing pink. And I said, all right, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna wear pink, stand out. It's a summer color, it's a summer color. And the last thing I wanted to do is look like a groomsman. So I felt like I was pretty safe in pink, and I was. So I thought it looked good. My wife thought I looked good, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, and you said it. We're going to have a new look to this show, and we're going to have people faces on these interviews, and I'm so excited about that. I mean, we're starting off today. We're going to be talking to the Astros 16U, a couple of the players, and Scott Rourke, and you're going to be able to see, not just hear from those guys, and that's what really excites me about this new look Running Point.
I think it's important. I think that it's with the technology and being a technology-driven company, we utilize our technology, and that's one thing, and it's great, and you'll still hear people, and you can still call in to the MP Vivo heating and air conditioning hotline. But like our guests, you'll see their faces, and I think that's important. I talked to Brian Tolnar last week, and I said, listen, I think it's time. Technology's here. Not that we don't love seeing your awesome graphic for an hour at a time, but I want to see your face. I want to see you talk. And people want to see kind of when you're talking about the tips of the week, they should see how you stand. And we're going to run out to Mill Creek every week because they're a proud sponsor of the show and proud sponsor and proud friend of the program and the network. We're going to have Brian give you like tips that you can actually visualize and do. So I'm excited for it. And kudos to you for being a guy that says embracing it and let's go.
Other thing you can do and new, you can comment live as you see Jeff's comment on the screen. And if you comment, we'll put it up. And that's something that's also new on Running Point.
Interaction. We want interaction. We want engagement for not just Running Point. You see it all the time on the Power Hour. We've been able to control that. And there's no reason we can't use it here as well. So if you've got comments, we know a lot of you are at work and it's not easy to always call in, but it's easy to send a comment through and give your opinion. Based on how you feel. We want this to be the show for the people of the Valley and for the area, and it's a great opportunity for them to chime in without having to pick up the phone and dial in and do it. Matt's working on getting a sponsor for the comment section. So, we call them the Bleacher Creatures on the Power Hour, and there's no reason we can't call them the Bleacher Creatures here as well. So get your thoughts in, express your opinion. We love to hear it. We want to hear it because, that's what Running Point's all about is you're just a point guard. You're dishing it out to the people. You're dishing out to your, to your guests. And that's really what we've been trying to do this entire time. And embracing technology is just another step of getting us where we want to go.
And we are staying Monday through Friday, 12 to 3, right here on ysnlive.com. So I'm picking up an extra 2 days, and it's all for the Bleacher Creatures, the fans at YSN. And I'm still doing all the stuff that I'm normally doing. So
is that a pat on your own
back?
back?
Yeah, it's a little pat, just stepping up and doing things.
I saw your chest puff out a little bit.
It's a little bit.
No, you do a fantastic job. You see Chris popping in there. A new beginning. Show will be great with Anthony at the helm.
See now I don't even have to puff my chest because the people.
Your chest, it just puffed out again, Anthony. Yeah. Like, calm down. You're going to be benching 270 by the time you leave. Yeah, you don't want your head to get any bigger. That size 8 1/4 is really wearing on me already.
I love these comments coming in.
This is awesome. Jimmy Powers is a huge fan of the network. Wants a hat too. We got to get Jimmy a hat. They're right behind.
Yeah, they're right. I mean, I would wheel down there and model it because they're really right behind me. We're gonna talk to Scott Rourke and a couple of his Astro Falcons players in a little bit at 12:30. Mm-hmm. But man, what a way to wrap up the Class B 16U season. It was a very competitive 16U Class B season. We had a lot of teams that showed a lot of talent, but Astro Falcons come through with the championship on Friday, sweeping Creekside. Well, what kind of things do you take away from the summer at Scene Park and from the 16U players and really the players from 16U that you're really going to see a lot more come high school season?
So from my standpoint, it felt longer because last year it was just pinched in, to like 30-day period to get it done, get it over with and move on to football. this was, and I don't want to make it sound like we didn't appreciate it, because we loved it, but it just felt like it dragged out, and it's still going. With the 18Us, they still haven't completed their season. So, like, are there some questions about how long does it go? I think that'd be a good question for Steve or for Scott on a future show. But from a 16U, from a 14U standpoint, I thought the season was phenomenal. The level of baseball that we saw this year from our area was top notch. You're not going to see any better baseball any other place than you do at Scene Park. And I'm convinced of that, because you still have kids that are playing travel ball and jumping on a team in the Class B. From a Little B perspective, if you can't watch some of these teams and know that baseball is in good hands for years to come, then you're not watching the right things. I mean, seeing the Astros, and they've always been a force, and anytime that Steve Leslie is in the mix, the dude just produces winners. And I'm talking about everything he does, from the nonprofits he supports to the networks that he's the general manager of. The dude is a born winner, and he expects a lot of the people that he surrounds himself with. And he didn't do anything different here at the 16U level with the Astro Falcons, because my guy just continued to say, hey, listen, when you put that BC on, when you put that Astro uniform on, there's an expectation of winning and commitment. And, he trotted out there last week with 9 guys and still walked away a big time winner. And that just tells you that, there's an expectation when you roll into Scene Park to do things the right way. And the Astros have done it better than the rest.
Yeah, we also had the NABF this year, which was something that we didn't get last season because of COVID-19. And the 16U Astro Falcons, they dropped the championship game and had to come back 2 days later and get ready for the Class B semifinals. What do you think to attest to their mental toughness and their ability to kind of shake off a disappointing loss in the NABF championship and come right back, take care of business in Class B?
And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure. I know we give kids a lot of grief nowadays. I'm not sure that I could be a kid in today's climate with all the expectations that are on them, with all the things that are to do. You look at going from the NABF World Series to, the tournament for Class B, to they've got to be at football practice, golf practice, all these different things. Oh, by the way, they've got to keep their grades up. And a lot of them have to have a job. Like, the amount of things on their plate and how many plates they have to keep spinning in the air all at one time. At the age of 14 to 16 years old, I'm not sure I could do it, dude. I'm not sure I could do it. So credit to these kids, credit to their parents. But these are going to be a age of multitaskers that we've never seen, in the next 10 years. Imagine what they're going to have to do for their jobs, and if they just had to do one thing, they'd be so bored at this point because they're so used to doing so many things. I saw AJ Havrilla at Ty's wedding. He was working. And I'm like, don't you have a baseball game? He's like, yeah, but I got to work too. And I'm like, my gosh. And that's one of the best baseball players in this area, from Canfield, and also an Astro Falcon, and also plays travel ball, and also works, and also, I feel like that's going to be the next generation. It's going to be, and also, because that's all they do. And also I do this, and also I do that.
And, you bring up the jobs, and people like to knock the generation because they have all this technology at their hands, but technology is not cheap. A lot of these kids are paying for their phones or paying for their PlayStation games. That's why you see a lot more kids have more jobs than you used to.
Yeah. And I think we haven't talked about this a whole lot, but I think when you look at this, some of these places like restaurants are going to be in trouble here in a few weeks, because if you go to a restaurant, you're seeing like 16-year-olds, 17, 18-year-olds that from high school are waiting tables and bussing tables and doing everything in the back, making your food. We've discussed it on this show. We've discussed it on the Power Hour as well, and we understand that these kids are going to go to school here in about 3 weeks. And what are these business owners going to do? And it's not like they're not trying to bring people in, but people just don't want to work right now. So the kids have picked up the slack. We sit there, not we, the generation above us sits there and says, these kids don't want to do anything. They're keeping our stuff together right now. Nobody else wants to go out and work because they're getting stimulus checks and all this stuff and free money in the mail. These kids are saving our economy right now. So kudos to them. And if I ever hear anybody say, well, these kids aren't worth a lick, like, man, listen, we're going to find out in 3 weeks just how much of a lick they're worth.
I think you're right. And what it does also is it really makes it easier for them we're seeing more and more kids succeed in college as an athlete because they don't have that culture shock of time management because they're already out doing things out the wazoo every day. Like you said, working, homework, school, plus all the sports they're involved in.
Most people will yell at kids because they're on their phone, right? Like, but as an owner and someone who is a leader in today's age, I know that when I look on the show and I see you doing this, you're doing 5 jobs at a time for me, for us, for YSN. I can't come in here and be like, hey, you need to focus 100% on a show at hand or a task at hand, because I would have to hire 5 more people to do that. It's just not feasible anymore. And you talk about multitasking. We got Gary Niddle saying AJ can do it all. That's how kids are taught nowadays. And not even just taught, that's how they have to survive. Because you can't just do one thing at a time anymore. You've got to do 3 things, 4 things, 5 things, 50 things. And the more you can handle, the more that will be provided to you. But you also have to be, at that same token, able to function at a high level, because there's an expectation of, if we hire you to do something, you got to be able to do this and this at a high level, as opposed to like if a kid just shows up to his job and he's, washing dishes. If he's back there playing on his phone and the dishes are stacking up, yeah, you got to say something. But like if the job's getting done and he's on his phone, who am I to say anything? It's leave him alone. If he can do it, let him do it.
That goes into that old adage where people say, well, the kid's attention span is not what it used to be.
It never will be.
But that's because they're putting their attention into 5 different things at once.
Yeah. I mean, this changed everything, right? The phone, the amount of power, like you listen to some of these people talk about, if they had the amount of, stuff that we have 20 years ago, like our grandparents wouldn't have to work 6 jobs. Our parents wouldn't have to work 4 jobs. They could do their 9 to 5 and do their side hustle from 6 to 2, one of those things, and then you get enough rest and you do it the next day. We're extremely blessed, and there's nobody that loves technology more than I do, because we base an entire company on it. But I gotta say, man, like as technology gets better, we're going to be empowered. And I love being able to look at these kids and say, you like what we do? Wait till you see what we have in 2 years. Like, we cut a deal for the AI cameras this past weekend. Like, that's going to be a game changer. But we couldn't do that without technology. Like, imagine not touching. Like, you've done it before where you've had to move the camera back and forth. No longer. Like, as of this coming year in 2022, you're just going to watch the camera go, whoop, whoop, whoop. It's amazing.
It's going to be really freaky because you're sitting there, you're like,
you're just going to watch the screen and watch it do it. And you're just going to announce the game. I mean, it's going to be crazy enough where, if knock on wood, we get hit by another pandemic, we can do it from home. We just set up the camera, set up the stuff, and we can literally do it from home, broadcast from home. That's how crazy it is right now. You got to be protected, and technology is always going to do that. But these kids are the ones coming up with it because they're always finding an easier way to do things. And there's a difference between easier way to do things that it doesn't get done at a high level and easier way to do things that you're like, oh, wow, I wish I would have known that. It's not a shortcut if you can do it more efficiently. So
I got to tell you, college coaches are going to love that AI camera because especially in basketball, there's going to be no more looking at a kid that's this big and saying, what number is that? Who am I looking at? Because it's going to be whoop, whoop, and it's going to zoom in when you need to zoom in. And man, the recruiting scene in basketball especially, going to love that addition to YSN.
Football as well. It won't be here this year because of Corona, coincidentally. So we will have it for 2022. And we're hoping to start with basketball. We just ordered a ton of cameras and to get started. But we wish it was here for football. But that's a thing that's in our back pocket, and we will have them available for football if they don't have stuff going already. So excited for the opportunity and to get things started here. Greg Burbick's calling right now. I don't know if he knows that we're on the air, but when you're a sponsor of the show, we will take your call at a later date, Greg.
We're in your studio.
Yeah, we're in his studio. We're plugging him. Like, come on, Greg. I got to work for that money.
And I appreciate you coming on. And one of the things I want to ask you, because you're on with the YSN, and what are some new things this football season that you can share that people might be excited about? Because football is inching closer and closer. And I know YSN has a lot of new things, some that we haven't solidified yet, probably want to keep close to the vest, but maybe some things that you can share about football season for the fans of YSN to expect.
So Audible Call will be back and better than ever. Nick Zeronis was here last night. And of course, Mike Ackelson will be the lead dog on that. It will be an interactive situation as well. So I'm very proud of that. We're going to be kicking that off on August 20th with the Audible Call. You know, I think there's 3 games right now on the 19th. So it doesn't usually mean that we can do a show like Audible Call successfully. 3 games is not enough to do it. 5 games is usually our breaking point there, our watermark. So if we can, the interactive part for Audible Call is going to be nuts, because you're going to have people chiming in from all over. I mean, we had 70,000 people tune in for an Audible Call last year. Later on I think it was like week 9 or week 10. So it was in the playoffs. But you look at that and you go, what do the people want to see? And we can do Omahas based on what the people want to see, and they can direct it a little bit, and they can chime in and let people know that, there's a 100-yard rusher in a game or things of that nature. That's why interactive and engagement is so important to me, is because we pride ourselves on being the people's champion here. We want it to be truly your sports network. So when they do that for Audible Call this year, I know Nick was really charged up about it, and we talked about it last night. Mike's been a huge advocate for letting the people run the show a little bit, call the shots, and he's amped up. But the other thing we can tell you about is on Thursday nights, we will have a show that will preview that week's games. So naturally, we do it on the Power Hour. You'll do it here as well with some coaches and some players and doing some profiles like live on the show, which I love. But we're also going to be there for like team feeds, and like where we think the best game is going to be that week is where we're going to be a lot of the times on that Thursday to talk to the coaches, to talk to the players, get the lay of the land a little bit. But starting on August 19th, we will be live at Stambaugh Stadium at the Ice Castle for kind of like a prime time, like we did the Crestview South Range game last year. And we'll talk to Coach Reardon. We'll talk to whoever we can talk to of that. It's with Bishop Watterson. I think is that opening week. So big time stuff happening here. And we're going to take ownership of Thursdays. We're going to take ownerships of Fridays like we've had last year. And then, we'll have something special that we'll announce later that I think people are going to join the weekend as well.
And what I like about that pregame show is it gives our broadcasters the opportunity to get their face out there. So because you're going to see people cover your school, whatever school you are affiliated with, you're going to have someone that's embedded into that school. And if you're on the Thursday show, you're going to see that person, not just see his voice, but also be able to see his face and maybe connect the face to the voice for a lot of your favorite broadcasters.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I mean, it's great to have somebody call in. But, after the show on Friday, we have the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard Show, and we're going to do it interactive. And we're going to do it with, instead of the call-ins, we're going to have people, click the links and pop on the show from their phones and all this different stuff. Seeing the faces, seeing their emotions after a big game is way different than having them just call in. And, we'll still have some people that don't want to necessarily make that jump, and we're okay with that. But at the end of the day, like, I'm so excited for the opportunity to see faces and to talk face to face. Because there's something different about talking to someone face to face, even if it's through a telephone or through what we utilize, on our broadcast. So.
Yeah, it's much more interactive. I think it lets other people interact a little bit more when they can see the face.
Right, and it does. And, it's one of those things, like every parent wants to see their kid, not necessarily just hear their name or, have them talk on a phone. And we're certainly grateful for the time that they give us. We just want to maximize their exposure of, hey, it's awesome to see the game-winning kick. You know, we have some ability to maybe strip that from the game now, and then they can watch it, and you can see the smile on their face when they see it go through. So, again, we are going to always fail forward. We're always going to be err on the side of pushing the envelope. And, you know, if we mess up, we'll eat the crow, but we're going to take chances. We're going to be accountable, but we're also going to push the envelope and give the people of the Valley something that nobody else has in the entire country with a show like Audible Call and the amount of games that are covered, which is more than the NFL Network. So take it for what it's worth and take it for what you have. And, you know, we're just grateful to have the fans that we have, and the YS Nation supports us at every turn.
Last year, our record was 155 touchdowns on the air, and we're gonna break that this year. I guarantee you. Right?
I don't know.
We're gonna keep pushing that envelope. We added it. You know, we're gonna have a couple more games, and I think we're gonna break that 155.
I mean, when they sit there and they tell me how many games we had over 200 football games last year. I mean, that's insanity. And it was well over 200. It was almost 300 games that we had last year. That's insanity to me. And then we go, 753 basketball games. Whoa. And watch out for volleyball and soccer. And, you know, we're really going to stretch ourselves thin this year. And, you know, to me, you know, being an athlete, or I guess a former athlete now, it's one of those things where you're going to push yourself until the point of exhaustion, and then you're going to push yourself some more to see how far you can take it. And that's the way we're building YSN is we're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing until we can't push anymore.
I mean, we had 155, but we still we all felt like, oh man, there were some touchdowns we could have had, and that's why I feel like we can really push that 155 and try to break that record.
What's crazy is people think that we're just like set up like Red Zone. Right. Red Zone has the ability to capture instant replay and run it 10 minutes later. We don't have instant replay. We're not capturing these. We have a bunch of dudes in a room that are watching football games and yelling out Omaha like a bunch of jackasses, myself included. And you like it's a really cool experience. And I know how proud everybody was when we hit 155 last year, because there weren't a whole lot of touchdowns that we missed. But the thing that I loved about it most was Mike and Nick and you and B. Miller and everybody back here, you know, Eric Oates and Quinn. They wanted all of them. Right. You know, we're not stopping until we hit 100%. And that's the drive that I love about our little crew here, you know, is we want more, always want more, and we'll always want more for the people that watch YSN. And that's why we're special.
And what made me proud was every week we hit more. We kept breaking our record every week. And I think that just goes back into that attitude, as we were always hungry. We always wanted every touchdown every night. And we felt like every week we got more than we got the last week.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, and it starts, you know, with guys like Brian Scott, who, you know, we were in here till 4 a.m. On that Thursday night, setting up for Audible Call and making sure that we think it'll work. And then when it goes on, it you know, we had our issues, but we'll fix them. You know, we fix them, and we fail forward, man.
Speaking of FaceTime, we will take a quick break. We'll be right back with Scott Rourke and a couple members of his Astro Falcons team that are champions of the 16U Class B division. So we'll be right back on Running Point on YSN.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com. and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends: shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Welcome back to YSN's Running Point, live from the G. Burbick Farm Studios. We have joining us on the program, this is a debut of our FaceTime interviews. We have Luca Ricciuti, we have Scott Rourke, and Jay Campbell, all from the Astro Falcons 16U newly crowned championship team. Guys, how are we doing today?
Good. How about you?
We're doing good. I'm sure we're not as good as newly crowned champions. Scott, from your perspective, what was it like to kind of see this summer kind of come into fruition and get a championship for the team?
Well, first of all, it was nice to be kind of back to normal with us being able to play a lot of baseball and get some tournaments in there and host the World Series and actually, have a whole season and not a shutdown season, or if you want to call it a short season. So we had a lot of fun. Great group of kids. These two kids are phenomenal. A1, not just a ball player, but as people themselves. So very fortunate I was able to coach these guys.
And Luca, you had a great season at the plate. You hit 337, 21 RBIs. Talk about kind of some of the things that you had in your approach this summer and what worked so well and what it felt like to win that championship.
Yeah, it was a great feeling. I just had a lot of confidence at the plate. You have confidence, you start hitting better. So I try to be confident every time I go up.
Do you think your confidence got better as the summer went on and as you got more and more games in at Scene Park?
For sure. When we started winning and picking up those bigger type of wins, the confidence started rising, and then we all started hitting better. And then when the top of the order, the bottom of the order strung together, that's when we got all those runs.
You also play in the middle of the infield, and you're kind of one of the linchpins of that defense. What was it like kind of playing behind this pitching staff? We're going to talk to one of your pitchers in a minute, but behind this pitching staff that pitched so well this season, and you got to play defense behind them in the middle of the infield.
Yeah, it just made our job easy. A lot of ground balls. There's a lot of strikeouts. Not many hard ground balls our way, so it's kind of made our jobs easier.
And Jay Campbell, you appeared in more games than anybody. You appeared in 11 games this season on the mound, and ERA of 3.79. You struck out 17. So talk about your job in the circle. What was it like to kind of be the guy that your team relied on most, and take that pressure and take that on your shoulders and do as well as you did this summer?
Well, whenever I got into pitch, my main job was just to hit my spots. You get some ground balls. I didn't really care about how hard I threw. And then obviously when you have guys like Luca and J. Michael and all our infield and outfield, it's pretty easy to pitch to them. so I didn't really have that tough of a job.
And then you did a great season at the plate. What was it like kind of switching that mindset, going from pitching to hitting and making sure you put your best foot forward on both sides?
At the plate, I just tried not to think. Whenever I thought, I didn't do too well, so I just tried to clear my mind and just go up and swing the bat.
All right, so you guys in the NABF championship, you didn't go the way you wanted. You lost that game. What was it like to kind of bounce back and get right back into the Class B semifinals and be able to succeed after that tough championship game? I'll start with you, Coach.
Well, I don't want to answer for them. It was kind of tough. I even seen a lot of the kids' faces when we played, game one of the semifinals coming back, and I think we were up a couple runs, and it got rained out again, and it was a different type of playoff atmosphere this year, but the kids did a great job. They came together at the end, and we were probably playing our best baseball at the very end.
And Luca, you talked about confidence. I mean, how did you kind of get your confidence back after that NABF championship game and come back with an offense that was just as successful as it was all season in the Class B semis?
Yeah, the NABF didn't go as planned, but we all kind of came together and wanted it to go our way at the end. So we all came back and had a lot of confidence, and then we all just started doing well at the end.
Okay, did you ever kind of struggle with any confidence after that championship, or were you kind of really itching to get back into the semifinals and really get that taste of the NABF championship out of your mouth?
As a team, I think we all wanted to get back and win a game. As it didn't go as planned, and we didn't play that well in that game. So we all kind of wanted the season the way we wanted. So I think we all had confidence coming back and we knew we were going to win.
All right, guys. Now, what I want to talk about is kind of the NABF as a whole and what it was like to kind of get back to having that competition. We didn't have the NABF World Series last year, and now you kind of get to go compete against not just teams from around the state, but a little bit around the country, and what that was like for you guys to be exposed to that kind of competition.
Go ahead, Jay.
Oh, well, it was just a great opportunity. I mean, to see, every team was really good, so every game was a pretty good game. So we just had to stay in it the whole tournament. It was really fun. Probably the most fun I've had playing baseball ever.
Luca, what about you?
Yeah, it was some great competition, some great teams. It was just fun to experience that with my teammates, and it was a lot of fun, good competition.
And Coach, from your perspective, I mean, getting to kind of go on the field against all these different teams and being exposed to a lot of different competition and different atmospheres, what was that like for you?
Oh, it's always fun. You get to see a lot of people that you've had, you've coached against in the past. And I think I said it to the Longhorns when we lost to them. I'm sure we're going to see them again. It's not like good teams don't die out. Good teams stick around. But I will say that, having both these guys at 14U, and we won the NABF World Series then, we had a lot of high aspirations to win it again this year. Ran into a really good pitcher that kept us off balance and made a few mistakes for them to win the game. Other than that, it could have been a 0-0 game after 7 innings. The way Jay pitched the first 3 innings, perfect through 3 innings. It just, we needed a couple little things to happen, and they just didn't.
Scotty, from our perspective, I know that every season presents its amount of challenges, right? Last year was Corona and getting all these games in that short time period. This season, it seemed to be the rainouts. What do you think was the biggest thing that it kind of was it more challenging last year or more challenging this year with the rainouts and the makeup?
I think it was more challenging this year. I think the rain it played a lot of havoc. And, I give the kids, especially like Jay and Luca and Seth are our three main 16-year-old kids that are, more like captains than they are players, to get the team up all the time. A lot of times, you get rained out. You don't even know when you're playing next. It was like I couldn't find a field available for games to be played on. So we tried our best, and, we were able to get a lot of baseball in. They played a lot of baseball, had a lot of fun, and, I expect nothing but great things from the two of these kids.
Jay, from your standpoint, is it hard to mentally just be able to get up and down all the time? I mean, you're mentally preparing yourself to start a game all day, and it gets rained out. Did the rain play issues with you and your mental capacity for this season?
It did a little bit. I tried to just not think about the start until I absolutely had to, because I felt whenever I thought about the start, I always messed up a little bit. So the rain sometimes it hurt a little bit, but not so much to me. I'm sure it hurt some of the other players though.
All right, Luca, I've been waiting for this interview for a long time. I got to talk to your little brother Teo yesterday, and I said, listen, I'm a huge fan of what he does, and I'm a huge fan of your family, but I did ask Teo if he was going to be better than his brother Luca, because you've put on a clinic this year, my dude. Talk to me about how important baseball is in your family, and how important it is to keep the tradition alive with your younger brother.
Yeah, we always play baseball. It's always fun and teach him little things, but I don't know. It's always for everyone, and he'll keep it going. He'll be good.
All right. Predict you in the prime of your careers, who's going to be a better baseball player, you or your brother?
I'd like to say me, but I don't know. Good.
He's a better foul ball chaser. I have to tell you that right now.
I love it.
Before we had you guys on, we talked about kind of balancing, all the stuff that the kids do nowadays, and all the baseball you guys play. I mean, Scotty talked about it. You guys played a lot of baseball this summer. How do you guys kind of balance the baseball and the social life and the schoolwork? And if you have a job and you have to go put in the work to get the money too?
That's a good question, guys.
Yeah, it's a little tough, but there's a lot of time in the summer. There's a lot of hours in the day, so you can get it done.
I feel that it's pretty easy when you have a team like the one that we had. Going to a baseball game it's like hanging out with your friends pretty much. So it wasn't too much of a problem for me.
Look at that! It's just easy, that's what we predict.
I think Dad's probably got a different perspective of that.
Yeah,
Scotty's down.
A couple more years, they'll figure it out. Couple more years, it's not so easy. There's not a lot of time in the day in a couple more years.
Guys, when you look at it from a championship perspective, when you put that Astro Falcon uniform on year in and year out, there is a championship caliber, an expectation of winning, and not just championships, but winning on and off the field. What is it that makes it so awesome to be an Astro nowadays? We'll start with you, Luca.
Yeah, I think it's just the expectation. We always expect to win. We always come in the mentality that we're going to win the next game and the game that we're playing today. So, it's a shock for us to lose. So, if you're with that, it's hard to lose.
Jay, go ahead.
Yeah, in the organization, the standards are so high. So, when you come in, you're expected to win every game, and when you lose, it's an upset. So you got to come back.
Scott, let's talk about the Class B real quick. This is last year. Class B was really the only place around here. You guys started it. You went out on a limb. You set the bar very high on playing and getting out again outside your house. You guys always set the bar a little bit higher each and every year. Talk about the people down at Scene Park that make things happen that maybe don't go noticed all the time.
You got a great bunch of guys that throughout the league and the field. With Bob Beam and Steve Leslie, and we even have a lot of people on our board like Tommy Otto and Tim Joyce, and some of the guys that do the background work to make sure that things happen. Yeah, we went out on a limb. The nicest thing about this season was at the end there we were able to shake hands, and it's little things like that you forgot about. That after a big game or something where you're able, you're tipping your hat or doing whatever you need to, but just seeing the kids' faces and telling them good game and everything, that was much different than it has been in the past. And I hopefully looking forward that it'll continue to be that way for years now.
And you brought up Steve Leslie. He popped in during this interview and just said how much he loved you guys. And we talked about how much he has meant to this program. And Scott, well, from your perspective and all the things that Steve Leslie does for the Astro Falcons and does for YSN as a general manager and all the other nonprofits he pours into, just talk about kind of what he means to the baseball community and what he's meant to you in your career.
Steve's a vital part of our Astro organization. I mean, with all the younger teams that are out there, we start pretty young. I think we had a 9-year-old team this year.
Yep.
So a lot of these guys stay with our program for a while. I mean, I have, on our 16U team, we had a boatload of 15-year-olds that have practically been with the program since they were 9 and 10 years old. So I mean, we kind of get them young and try to keep them in the organization and just you got to keep getting better though. You just got to work hard and you got to want to compete. If you don't want to do that, you're going to be on somebody else's team.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us today on the Running Point, the 16U Championship Team Astro Falcons. We have Luca Ricciuti, Jay Campbell, and Scott Rourke all joining us. Thank you so much for the time. Congratulations on that championship win. And we look forward to seeing what you guys do next because I know you guys always stay hungry and you're going to do big things in the years to come.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, boys. What a great group.
I know. I mean, can you ask for anything better?
No, I mean you can't. They're the top of their game, right now. But it's another thing, Ant, that when you look at it, things to come. Imagine where they're going to be in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, in 10 years. I mean, I know the Ricciuti family. There's high expectations there, but parents put their kids in the favor of the Astro Falcons organization because of the standards they set. And it's not just baseball. It's wearing your hat right, having your shirt tucked in. Presentation still means something in this day and age. And the Astros do it. I was never an Astro. I was raised to not like the Astros because I wasn't an Astro. Because everybody looks at it like the Yankees, right? If you're not a Yankee fan, everybody hates the Yankees. But there is a standard that they live up to each and every game they play, on and off the field, that they are together no matter what happens, because everybody knows that there's some squawking. You spend a lot of time together, there's bound to be some friction, right?
Right.
They get on that field and they win championships. And when you win, stuff goes away. Winning heals everything. And listen, that organization was in a tough spot a couple years ago. Scott made a couple of great acquisitions with Don Pletcher, with Emil Bertolini, with Steve Leslie going back and coaching, and Scott has really done what a leader does and steps back and lets everybody do what they do really well, and the lid goes off, right? So if they were at a 4 when a couple years ago, now they're at a 10. Because they're winning championships at every level now. And Scott talked about the 9Us. There's the 10U, 11U, 12U, all these different levels. They're starting them younger to keep them in the system. And listen, the Astros don't get hurt whenever you leave. They want what's best for you. And they want to see these kids succeed. And, I mean, that's the whole idea of Bob Scene Park is giving these kids a place to play that's a high level of competition that gets them seen so they have a chance to get an education and to play a game they love for as long as they possibly can.
And usually there's that mystique when you put on that Astros jersey, that standard that you automatically know that you're holding up when you put it on. And you talk to them about it a little bit too. And I mean, it's like almost putting on the Patriots jersey or putting on the Yankees jersey. You're representing a little bit of a higher standard that everyone's trying to gun at.
Yeah, and I think that they also teach the chip on the shoulder. You know what I mean? When you're an Astro, you're held to a higher standard. So, prove it. Prove that you're worthy of this position. There's a lot of competition inside those four walls, inside those white lines that happens, throughout the year. And, it's a feast or famine sometimes. It's the big dog is going to eat, so there's a lot of changes that happen in the lineup. There's a lot of changes that happen, in the roster throughout the year from year to year, because that expectation is not going to go away. The Astro Falcon name is pristine. It is clean, and they want to keep it that way.
And people think that kind of thing is negative for a league. But when you look at the strides that teams like Dura Edge and Creekside and Avalanche and Athletics have made, it's because the standard's high and they have to kind of push themselves to compete with the Astro Falcons. And we're seeing great strides from all those programs and all the other ones in the Class B.
You know what people always say, and I think it's just like an old man thing, like get off my lawn, that, the level of competition is down in Class B. If you actually think that, then you don't watch many games in Class B from 14 to 18, right? We see it every night. The level of competition is so much higher. I mean, some of these teams have half the roster are D1 or more. And if you don't think that that's high level of competition, where else are you going to get that? Not only in this area, but in this state, in this region, in this side of the country. Like, you want to compete with California. California has baseball year round. So does Texas. So does Florida. We don't. We get good weather like 4 months out of the year. So the fact that these players are coming under one bubble of Scene Park and playing in the Class B organization tells you the level of competition, because people wouldn't go there to just win 20-0 to 10-0 they're going there because these pitchers are excelling because they're facing good hitters and vice versa. If you think the level of competition is down, then you need to go check your eyes. You need some blue wings, because it ain't working for you.
And I think the NABF is proof, because we had two Class B teams in the semifinals, and we had an opportunity for an all Class B championship with the Avalanche and the Athletics both playing in semifinals after, we all know what happened to the Astro Falcons. But you think about that in years past, if the Astro Falcons were out, then that might be it for the Class B and the NABF. But two teams with opportunities to play in the championship and both playing pretty well in those games. Just it talks about the strides that other programs have taken.
I mean, 4 years in a row, Don Pletcher and his coaching staff have taken teams to Laredo, Texas, to compete for a world championship in the Palomino. So what does that say about our area? It says that we got great coaches, we have great players, we have a great mindset of here's our goal and we're going to go achieve it. So you look at what our guys do on a big scale, and I love the fact that other kids, the loyalty factor means nothing, because you represent Youngstown. You represent the area. And I absolutely love that. About what Pletch does is he brings in kids that want to represent the area, that want to go to different places, get a new experience, and at the end of the day, want to win a world title. This isn't like and I don't want to knock a district title. Like we base in school a success off a district title. This is a world championship. You're playing Chinese Taipei. You're playing, different countries all over the world in Texas that, they're traveling halfway across the country to play some of the best baseball teams, and we're among them. That speaks so highly of our area, and I don't think anybody's ever done that the way that we do it.
And you have to earn your way there too. I mean, it's not like you just kind of punch your ticket to Texas.
You can't just pay, hey, this tournament's going to be $1,000. We're in. No. This is not a buy-in tournament. This is you earn it. You get the flag and you go. And now you go plant yours. I'm so excited for this team to go down to Laredo. I think this can be a very special team, but it starts at these 14 U's. It starts earlier than that at the 9 U's. What the Astros are doing that I think is really impressive is they're starting the expectations at 9, so they don't have to teach it at 18.
And that's one of the reasons why the 18U Class B championships are kind of paused, because we're waiting on the teams to go down to Texas and do their thing and hopefully get some hardware there, and then they'll come back up and we'll finish the Class B season. But no better reason to take a pause on the championships than saying, hey, we're going to go try to win a world championship.
It tells you more about the Class B organization and guys like Scott Rourke, guys like Steve Leslie, Bob Beam, Kate Kelly, than you'll ever know, because they're willing to put their season that's their job on pause because they know that this team could go win a world title. And, you know, you put your ego aside and you go, this is all about the kids. This is all about these young men that are going to represent not only our area, but our country in this world championship. So my hat goes off. I mean, it goes off to them every time. The fact that they ruled us in 4 years ago when we were very, very young and organizationally, and we were, you know, we didn't have much to give. And they said, we love what you do, and we only think you're going to do that much more. Not to puff my chest out, but it's one of those things is one of our 3 pillars is loyalty. I will die before we ever give up Class B and the people that surround the Class B. I love those people like they're my own family. And, you know, I owe Scott Rourke so much. I owe Steve Leslie my life. He's one of my best friends in this world. And, you know, Bob Beam is right there with him. And Kate Kelly has been a supporter since day one. So anything that we can do for Class B, we are always going to do. And like we do with other stuff, we will fail forward.
That's one of the reasons. I mean, you can attest to it. Seton Park has become kind of your second home.
That's my house.
I mean, you're just set up in the press.
That's my house. And you know what? And that's why we hold our all-star game there, because it's our home, and they let us do some things that otherwise probably wouldn't happen. You know, if we held it somewhere else, we'd have to ask permission. Kate always says, you know what, do it and we'll figure it out later. Scott's the same way. Absolutely. You want to hold an all-star game with, you know, 47 schools represented here, bring it on in, you know, and we did some good stuff. And I love Seton Park. It's always been like Disney World to me, even since I was a player. Every time I walk through those pipes at the entrance, I get this special feeling. You know, the kind of feeling you get when you walk through your own front door. And, you know, I'm always greeted there. We as YSN, I shouldn't just say we as YSN are greeted there with a friendly face, with a positive attitude, and how can we help you? And if there's ever an issue, they always take care of it.
And that's why I love that some of the new kids that have come on this summer, their first thing was, hey, go to Seton Park, because no better spot to kind of get your feet wet than a place that's so welcoming and knows who YSN is and is going to take care of them.
And if you have a question about baseball, like there's so much baseball knowledge down there. There is so much from fields 1 to 3. You can't turn around without falling into somebody or bumping elbows with someone that knows more or that has forgotten more baseball than I'll ever know. And that's what's so special about that place is high level of baseball IQ and low level of ego. And that's why I love that place so much. And if they called and said, hey, we got a game tonight, we want you to do it, we're dropping everything and we'll make sure we're on the air.
Yep. And that's what we love about it. Now the show keeps rolling on. We are going to take another break. We'll be right back with TV21 Sports Director Dana Ballish as he comes on every Monday on ysnlive.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Jimmy Sutton here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and 2 of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
And welcome back to Running Point on YSN. Joining us on the MTVville hotline, like he does every Monday, Dana Balish, the 21 FMJ Sports Director. Dana, how are we doing this week?
We're very well. Yourself?
We're doing good. It's a new era on YSN, new look, but we're going to have you every week like we always do, and we're happy that you're able to join us.
Looking forward to it.
All right, so the Muscle Connection high school previews are off and running, and you've had a whole week of them. What kind of things have been standing out as you've been airing them and getting some feedback and have been talking to some of the area coaches?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that it's some sense of normalcy in each camp that we have gone through. I mean, from the simplest thing is, the water bottles, everyone now can kind of go to the same thing. There's no separate water bottles. There's no mask. There's no social distancing. So I think it's, the biggest common denominator that I have seen and that I have heard from coaches is it's some sorts of normalcy. And I think that's a step in the right direction. Hopefully things will stay that way.
And, what about tonight, and not just tonight, but in this week? What teams are we having in the next couple of days, and what should fans expect in the next couple of days from the Muscle Connection High School football previews?
Well, we're going to head to Columbiana County today. We have Southern Local at 6 o'clock, and then United at 11. And then, we kind of mishmash a little bit, later out throughout the week. We're going to have Girard and then JFK and the Lakeview with the new coach, and East Liverpool with one of the best offensive linemen, probably in the region that week. So we kind of circle around, and I think it's just a case of where there's a sense of people kind of want to know what's going on and with these teams, and you kind of figure out which teams you think can make a run based on what they had last year. I mean, there's some transfers that come in, so it's just a chance for fans to kind of, just get a look of what these teams are all about.
Hey, Dana, it's DJ. So when you look at these teams on a full scale, is there any team out there that really surprises you or think is maybe going to be a sleeper this year in 2021?
Well, it's so hard to tell because you got to look at it on paper, and they haven't had scrimmages. I mean, there's some 7-on-7s. I think one team that can make some improvements, maybe some of the biggest steps in improvements is Newton Falls. This is a program, Greg Lazari's in his second year, in his second stint. I mean, kind of put the program, in the direction he wanted to go. I think Cardinal Mooney's one of those teams too. I mean, when Coach Pelini took over, this was a program where, everything was new. I mean, there was no off season, and, he had to implement things. I think Mooney was actually getting better as the season went on. And, they finished 2-6 last year, but I think that's a team that, now that Coach Pelini's had a full season, he has some coaches back with him. I mean, I think that's a team that could make improvements from last year. Those two kind of stand out. I mean, you're going to have your teams that, I think people expect a lot of big things from your South Ranges and your Springfields. I think Warren JFK is one of those teams that, could possibly get back to week 16 if everything falls right. But, there's going to be a team out there that's going to come out of nowhere and kind of surprise everybody. But right now, it's so hard because, you don't have those scrimmages. I mean, some teams are off this week, and some are just practicing. But it's so hard to say. I mean, injuries play a big part in it. I mean, people ask me all the time, "Hey, how's this team going to be?" Or what's your biggest surprise? Or which team can go the furthest? And I always say, look, this team I think can go the furthest if there's no injuries. And DJ, as you know, in our area, the majority of our schools are smaller schools where the numbers are down, where injuries not only affect, one position, it could affect two positions if that player goes both ways. And then the majority of the smaller schools it does that. But, right off the top of my head, I think Newton Falls can be better. I think Cardinal Mooney can be better. Those are the top two that come to mind.
I absolutely love that, and I agree with that 100%. I also know that in your walk with all these coaches, the spotlight turns to the playoffs. And what kind of feedback are you getting from these coaches with the new playoff starting this year?
Well, I've talked to 3 coaches, and I haven't been to every school, but I've talked to 3 coaches, and 3 coaches are definitely in favor of it. Most of the other guys are not. They think 16's too many. They think, it's going to be unfair. 16 is putting kids at risk, which is there could be risk, at practice today. But I think 16 in my tenure, 16 is a lot. I think that's, there's the chance you could have, 2 bad weeks of playoff football, because if, one's playing at 16, that can get ugly. Then if one plays an 8, that can get ugly, because, in the past years we've had 1 and 8s that were ugly. So I think, DJ, this is something that coaches are going to get used to. One coach I talked to said, hey, look, we're not going to be a great team, but, when everything weeds out and, in that 8, 9, 10 position, hopefully we're in the conversation. I think it's overkill. I think it's too many teams, but that's my opinion. I think 8 was the magic number, but most of the coaches that I've talked to are not in favor of. Some of your older coaches, and I found that to be some of your older coaches who have been around for some times, are in favor of it.
Is that just because they want one more ride, or what is it?
I think, look, and back in the day, 25, 30 years ago, what I heard from every coach, look, our goal is to win the league championship. That's our number one goal. And, if the playoff happens, that's a bonus. Well, I think that tune has changed a little bit more. I think it's now, hey, look, everyone's focusing on the playoffs. I think league championships are kind of gone by the wayside. I don't think that's the goal anymore. I think the goal is getting into the playoffs. Well, now that the playoffs are watered down, perhaps winning that league championship will come back into frame.
So one of the questions that I have asked some of these coaches are, do you feel like last year you could opt out of the playoffs, right? If you didn't feel comfortable with it, do you feel like there's a chance that a 16 or a 15 says, thanks, but no thanks? And in that case, what happens with the OHSAA? Is it just a forfeit?
Well, I think, look, you can opt out in any sport. You could opt out. Now, you have to opt out before the deadline date. Now, if teams, look, the regular season comes to an end October 22nd. I think you have to make the decision to opt out before week 8 of the regular season. And if you don't, I think it's a $100 fine or whatever. I think you're going to see teams opt out. I think teams that are struggling with numbers, you're going to see opt out. I think teams that, are just struggling, whether it's numbers or something else, are going to opt out. I think that's a strong possibility this year. I think you're going to, and again, you have the option in any sport to opt out. If you do it before the deadline, it's no penalty. If you opt out after the deadline, I think it's a $100 penalty. But I think most coaches will be smart about it. I think most coaches will look into it. I think most coaches will say, hey, if we can't compete, why are we going to do this? Now the kids are going to say, hey, we want the experience. We want this. We want that. But DJ, there's a lot of people around here who know, if Team X plays Team A, it can get really ugly really soon. And do kids want to have that final game, be a playoff game where you get blasted 65-0? I mean, I don't know. And the OHSA has already said, look, we're going to leave it up to the communities and the districts to decide what they want to do. But I think we'll see some teams opt out. I really do when the playoffs come, 15 weeks from now or whatever it is.
And there are a handful of new coaches this year too, taking their first year with a team. And I'm sure you've talked to plenty of them. What about the new coaches coming into a tenure with this kind of format and the strategy that kind of changes with 16 teams making the playoffs and how they're handling the first year being with this brand new kind of playoff format?
Well, look, if you're a head coach, I mean, the ultimate goal is to make the playoffs. So I'm sure every coach loves it. I'm sure. But again, they're not doing it for selfish reasons. Okay, coaches will say, hey, yeah, I can say I made the playoffs my first year of coaching or whatever. But I don't know if it's a fair assessment. I think, I think, again, I'll go back to what I said. When there were 4 teams in the playoffs, you had to earn it. When there were 8 teams in the postseason, yeah, you could stumble, but you had to stumble the right way. Now with 16, I mean, it's just, I I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in that position to say, hey, we're not going to go to the playoffs. But most, these first-time head coaches are probably saying, you know what, hey, yeah, let's see what we can do. Let's go from there. And so I think most of the young guys like it. But again, I think you got to be smart about it. And if someone at a smaller school loses 5 players to injuries, I don't know how keen they're going to be, on wanting to play, in the postseason.
Dana, let's change course here. It's MLB trade deadline week. Deadline's Friday at 4. The Indians have been rumored to be in on some stuff, maybe buyers, maybe sellers. Pirates doing some selling last night of Adam Frazier. Where do you see these two teams stacking up, and do you think we're going to see some shakeups at the deadline?
Well, and again, I think the general manager's got to be pretty smart and say, hey, you know what, look, we're 9 games out. Our pitching staff is decimated. Our starting pitching, our bullpen's not where we thought it would be. I mean, if I'm the Indians, I mean, you're not going to do anything this year. You're, 8 games out of the wild card, I think, or 7 games out of the wild card. Now, you can make that up. But realistically, is Ramirez, who has 2 option years, is he going to want to stay? I mean, I think it's too early to make that determination. But, I always say you never make a trade unless it's going to benefit you. Now, the Indians can get some no-name players. And I remember years ago, Cliff Hill was a no-name player and that sort of thing. If you could better yourself in years to come, then you pull the trigger. And again, Paul Dolan is going to have the final say in this. Ramirez is getting, I think, 1.6 this year, which is the highest paid now. If he wants to cut the payroll even further, you'll see him go. So I don't know. The Indians, if it could improve you, bring in some young talent, you're probably 2 years away now. If you bring in young talent, maybe you're 3 years away. I don't know. I mean, it's tough. I mean, you're kind of at that fringe of 8-9 games back. Is that too much to make up? I think it is. So I would make a deal if it could better you. Maybe not it's not going to better you for this year, but you give those young kids the experience of playing at the MLB level. Maybe next year, the year after, maybe it's a whole different story.
So a 2-part question here. Will Jose Ramirez be a Guardian next year? And do you like the name change to the Guardians?
I don't think he'll be a Guardian next year. The name change, and here's something, DJ, that a lot of people don't realize. I mean, when the Indians had the All-Star game in 2019, this was all part of that deal to have the All-Star game. Look, if you're going to make the name change in the next 2 to 3 years, now I'm speaking in 2018, then you're going to get the All-Star game. And that's exactly what happened. They got the All-Star game and they're making the name change. Now people could say, oh, we don't like the name or whatever. Look, if the team wins, you could care less about the name. I mean, that's the bottom line. So, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, they took the IN off Indians and added a GUAR. Look, if they win, no one's really going to care. But you got to start winning, and right now, this is a struggling baseball team.
Yeah, and I guess that when they start the season next year, the Guardians will be a franchise that haven't lost a game yet. So they can kind of, until they lose the first game of the season next year, they can say, hey, we haven't lost a game as the Guardians.
Well, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I was asked about it over the weekend, and I've been doing this for 30 years. I mean, next year I know I'm going to say Indians. It's just going to come out Indians because you're so used to it. So, but the Guardians, look, it's the Guardians, and someone will come up with a clever nickname like Indians and Tribe and all that, and you just move on. It's interesting that this has transpired, but sooner or later you knew it was going to happen.
Danny, your affiliate in NBC is, of course, the headliner of the Olympics. So I'm kind of curious what your favorite Olympic event is to watch during the summer, and what kind of things interest you as a part of the Olympic program.
Well, you know what? It's interesting. Like rowing was on over the weekend, and I saw that and watched that a little bit. I mean, it's some of the unique sports that you're not used to seeing. You have rowing, you have fencing, you have water polo. Looking forward to seeing Nick Bruce, this week, when he competes, the only local Olympian we have in BMX. So it's just the unique sports and on at unique times. I mean, Tokyo's 13 hours ahead of us. So, while we're sleeping, competition is going on. And sometimes, in the early morning, NBC does a great job of showing the live stuff and all that. But it's the unique sports. I mean, gymnastics is huge. Swimming is huge. Track and field is huge. Those are all huge things that people love. And certainly, another week and, 5 days, we'll be able to see all that.
I asked my wife last night, what would be one Olympic sport that she would want to see played professionally here in the States? Like we'd see the NBA or MLB or the NFL. Which one would you want to see, Dana, that you only see every 4 years, really, when you're paying attention?
That's a good question. I really never thought about that. You're so used to the everyday sports of basketball and baseball and golf and that sort of thing. It's interesting. I mean, I almost think like swimming would be a huge draw, or track and field would be a huge draw for pro sports because, if you do it in the summertime, you could have football players be part of it, or if you do it in the wintertime, I guess you could have, track and field, I think, would be huge. I think swimming would be huge as well. So to answer your question directly, DJ, I have no idea.
Okay, Dana, thank you so much for joining us this week. It was great to hear from you. And we'll talk to you next week for more updates on 21 FMJ.
All right, guys. Appreciate the opportunity. Have a great day.
You too.
All right.
So when I asked Sarah that question, she was a track and field athlete in college. When we went to Westminster, she did that. I did baseball. I thought for sure it would be a slam dunk track and field. She said swimming. And I don't disagree with her. I think swimming, it's a huge draw on our network when we do it. We have another swimming event coming up on Saturday.
From Applewood?
Yeah, from Applewood. I think that swimming would be a killer here. But I don't disagree with someone that says track and field. Because track and field, they have this just cult following. People will go to every track and field event if they can in the state of Ohio for the state championships. They want to see speed. They want to see agility. They want to see power. So when they separated it and put it in different locations, people were pissed. They were angry. Excuse me. So it's one of those things where I don't think you can go wrong with swimming. I don't think you can go wrong with track and field. But as we sit here right now, I'm watching mountain biking on television. And if you would have told 12-year-old DJ Yoakley that at 36 he'd be watching mountain biking on his own network, I'd call you crazy.
First year for skateboarding this year in the Olympics, and I believe the BMX is their first year in the Olympics as well.
I can get behind BMX. The skateboarding does nothing for me.
It's only street skating too, which is kind of like, it's fun to watch, but it's not like the vert. Like the vert's really fun to watch. I feel like the street skating is like kind of.
So why do we have the X Games? And I'm not. Right. That's not a knock of why. But the X Games kind of had all this stuff, and I feel like the Olympics are, instead of supplementing it, they're kind of overtaking it. They're overshadowing the X Games. The X Games, that's what everybody lives for in those sports.
And I feel like it's the Olympics way of saying, like, we're the big entity, and this X Games is kind of like the independent ESPN run event, and we're gonna almost legitimize skateboarding, and I don't know if I agree with that, but I feel like that's what the IOC kind of feels like we're gonna bring some legitimacy to your sport by adding it to the Olympics and giving you a gold medal.
I can tell you right now, Ant, watching this mountain biking, I want nothing to do with it. Like none of it looks fun. Like they're going up and down hills. I mean, what you imagine.
Think about how you sit on a bike. Up and down hills, pass,
like hard pass. I want nothing to do. And like they're running over tree branches and roots. Like, man, I'm lucky when I was young to make it like in the driveway. Like, not that I was a bad bike rider, but my goodness, like that guy just ran over. Like that is a log. They're jumping over a log as we speak. They call them chopsticks.
That's not a chopstick. That's a
I eat with
full-on log.
chopsticks. That is a log. 2 logs, as a matter of fact, that have been stacked up. And, you know, you hear them talk about in skateboarding, they talk about who created the course and the park. And it's beautifully. And I'm like, it's just a bunch of rails and stuff like that. Like, I want to see them. You want my attention for skateboarding? Skateboard around Tokyo. Like kids do.
Right.
Like,
ultimate street
that's real
skating.
deal. Like, the cops can't bust you. They can't, you know, you're jumping on the water things.
That adds to the competition because you got to find stuff to make your tricks right.
Yeah.
So like if you don't find it, then you can't make that trick.
And they'll say, oh, well, I mean, everybody's got a chance to go around Tokyo and find places that they can make. Now they're going over rocks, and these are boulders. They're running over boulders. Oh! That guy didn't make it. That's probably what I would look like. Oh my goodness. That guy's check on him. I think he's dead. There he is. Matthew Vanderpool. Check and see if there's an obituary on this guy tomorrow. My gosh. They're going to show the replay. No. Oh, no, that's not a replay. That's real. My guy. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Goes up. Oh. Oh, gosh. That's. Oh, do you see him just go flying? Like, Ant. That's not fun.
It, but I'm telling you, it's.
I know everybody's like, all right, we can't see it, idiot. I know. Look up mountain bike. Oh, he went face first over his handles. Oh, dude, if you're not watching USA right now, you need to turn it back on. My guy is toast. Oh,
hey, we have a caller into the MP Vivo hotline, and this is our first caller for the new look running point.
They're probably going to say we can't watch it.
Caller, you are on the line. Who do we got?
This is the infamous Jim Powers from St. Louis, Missouri.
Jimmy!
Hi, boys.
What's going on, brother?
How we doing, Jim?
Well, you know what? You guys are talking about mountain bike racers like crashing and falling. You know, water polo's on right now as well. And you get one of those fastballs that's coming at your face at about 70 miles per hour that hits the goalkeeper. Yeah, that may make it a little bit better than the mountain bike fall.
Oh, dude. What was the movie that had water polo in it? Was it Meet the Fockers?
Yeah. It was water volleyball, but yeah.
Yeah, water volleyball. I mean, I can't imagine what that feels like. You're right in your gullet, and you bleed into the water, and then, you know, added twist, there's a shark.
Yeah, exactly. So, but
those guys
but no,
amaze me because they're doing all that while they're treading water. And they have to, I mean, the endurance to do water polo has to be unreal.
I learned how to tread water at 22 years old. And I was like, I'll never do this again. Like, I would probably just rather sink at that point.
I still can't tread water. Let's get this. Even with all the weight I've lost, I still can't tread water. So let's just water polo is not my sport. Not even going to happen.
You are looking good, by the way, my dude.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it. Down 72 pounds.
Amazing.
Since last January.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. And, you know, I had a chance this weekend to see I believe the Toledo Mud Hens are the Pirates AAA team. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or no, I'm sorry, not the Pirates. We saw the Indianapolis Indians this weekend.
Yeah, the Indians, yes. We have I believe we have the Indians.
Yeah.
So, yep.
And I tell you what, if anybody wants to make a road trip, I know it's a little bit of a haul from back in Youngstown. Victory Field in downtown Indy is unbelievable.
I heard Indy as a whole is like legit. They have completely redone the downtown.
Yeah, it was awesome. We took a quick little vacation this weekend and went out there, saw the Indians and the Mud Hens play, and you know, got a chance to hang out downtown. But I tell you what, I was impressed with the Indy Indians. I think, you know, the Pirates got some good people in that pipeline, you know, down in the AAA level. So, you know, I think they're going to sell. I think they're going to try and build a few things. But once again, the big question in the NL East, and me and you were talking about this last week when we were going back and forth on Facebook, you know, everybody's playing, you know, chase with, you know, Milwaukee right now.
Yep.
And I just don't know if there's anybody that could catch them. I mean, the Cardinals are kind of figuring a few things out, and the way they hit the ball this weekend down in Cincy, but golly, the bad thing is St. Louis doesn't have, a lot of pitching. They're not deep at all in their pitching staff. And I just don't know if there's anybody in the East that can catch up with Milwaukee right now.
No, and what's scarier is we had our fantasy podcast yesterday, and one of the things that our guru, Rocky Brown, said was essentially the Milwaukee Brewers are one of the teams rumored to be in on Jose Ramirez.
Oh.
So imagine that team with the ability of Jose Ramirez, where you don't necessarily have to put him at third base. You could put him at second. You could put him in the outfield. And that's a big bat and a team that wants to win. And we know how Jose Ramirez is on a winning club because he could be scary dangerous.
Oh, he could be ridiculously dangerous, and especially in that Milwaukee lineup. I mean, they pick him up. You might as well just give the East right now to Milwaukee unless something drastically happens. I mean, I know there's a little bit of talk here in St. Louis that Max Scherzer maybe on the, radar. He's a St. Louis kid, pitched at, played his high school ball at Parkway Central High School. But I don't know if they're going to pull the trigger on that one. So it'll be interesting to see where Scherzer falls as well, because he's having a terrific year this year. We saw him start the All-Star game last week.
Yep.
And the Nationals they're going to turn in the sellers. And so, it's going to be real interesting to see where a couple of those pieces of the puzzle end up.
Well, I was told that Max Scherzer could be a trade and sign again guy, which we saw with Kenny Lofton a few years back with the Indians. And Max Scherzer loves it in Washington. He is beloved there, and there might be, and I don't know how much goes into the kind of backroom deals, but Scherzer could be a guy where I think you're going to have to give up a lot to get him. And the Nationals could turn around and sign him again at the end of the year. So I think there's a lot of teams that are like, wait a minute, you better be in on a big run to get Max Scherzer. Because if you're not, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to get him. And it's going to cost you your prospects, your top prospects. Because the Nationals,
without a doubt.
They're rebuilding. And Max Scherzer could absolutely bolster your starting rotation. And especially heading into October, that guy is and could be lights out once again.
Oh, without a doubt. And, once again, he loves Washington.
Yep.
I've had a chance to talk to him a couple times when he's made it back here to St. Louis. And, great guy, just a genuine guy. And he absolutely loves it down there. So the sign, the sign and trade clause, that may be in play. You never know what's going to happen with that. Depends on what pieces are going to get brought into there. But if somebody's looking for an arm, like Los Angeles right now, the Dodgers, you look at the American League, somebody there that's looking for an arm to get them over the hump. There's a guy right there that you may be able to pull the trigger on. You're going to have to give up a little bit for him, but it's going to be interesting to see how this whole plays out at the trade deadline coming up.
All right, here's something that I saw last night that was really, really grinding my gears. So I'm a Pirates fan. You know that. Adam Frazier gets dealt last night mid-game to the Padres, and they get 3 prospects in return. One of them is the number 5 overall prospect in the Padres organization. The other 2 were just kind of throw-ins. Pittsburgh fans think that Adam Frazier is worth basically they're asking for a Fernando Tatis Jr. They're looking for this haul for Adam Frazier, who, yes, he's an all-star, and with all due respect, he's one of the best players in our organization. But 5 years ago, nobody knew who the hell this guy was. And they're looking for like a future unbelievable, like possibly Hall of Famer in return for him. Jimmy, are fans just too naive now to realize what they have in their possession?
Absolutely. Without a doubt. And I live in the perfect community for that right now. I mean, you look at St. Louis. I mean, their claim to being the best fans in baseball, irritates everybody else in the country. And if there's not moves made, or if there is a move, it's not good enough. And, why didn't you go this direction? Now, the thing is, here in St. Louis, with the DeWitts and with Mozeliak, these guys don't spend money.
Right.
When the Arenado, deal came down, if they didn't get the thievery of a lifetime award for what they did in fleecing Colorado with that whole deal, we would have never signed, Nolan Arenado.
Yep.
And everybody knows that. That's just the way it is down here, with the ownership group. But I'm telling you, fans right now think that, okay, and Frazier's a good ball player. Don't get me wrong, but what they got value wise for him is as much as you were going to get. You were not going to get a top tier MLB player for a Frazier, no matter whether he's an all-star or not. It's just not going to happen, because that's the way of the world right now. And, there's still the other part of this too, that not a lot of people will talk about. There's still a lot of teams that are hurting from last year with COVID, not being able to have fans, not being able to do the things that they do. They lost money on their TV contracts. So, there's still a little bit of that, sitting in play as well. But yeah, I think fans got to take it easy and take a deep breath before they, start ripping organizations and stuff, because right now it's a totally different landscape than what it was 5 years ago.
Well, I think I remember 3 or 4 years ago when they dealt Andrew McCutchen, the Pirates, and they got, this list of characters from the Giants. One of them is Brian Reynolds, and now he's an all-star. Now he's got 17, 18 home runs, and everybody was calling for Neil Huntington's head. I think that we live in an era of fantasy sports, whether it be daily or annually, that, everybody thinks that their dime's worth a dollar and they're going to get that return for it, when reality is listen, you're not a contender. The Pirates are not a contender. So they've got to get a 3-for-1 and hope that maybe one of those guys pays off. If you get two, you won the deal.
Yeah, exactly. Without a doubt. And you hit it on the head. And not a lot of people say that too. It's, everybody's all, fantasy this, fantasy that. Okay, I got to do this, or, why can't I do this, and different things like that. It's crazy to the mentality that fans have because of, how fantasy is taken over things. I mean, shoot, you look on ESPN News in the afternoon, they've got the daily wager. So now they're talking about sports betting, but they're also talking more about fantasy stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I agree with you. If you get a twofer, you win the deal in something like that. But, once again, I think, people just got to take a deep breath and, once again, we're coming out of a lot of just stuff that nobody has even dealt with ever in our lifetime. And it's going to take a couple years to try and figure out the landscape of everything. And, I know with Major League Baseball, I kind of like how the new setup is. I hope that they continue that way, and I hope that they don't, run out any more of the minor league clubs that are out there. I know there was a report that came out that the Springfield Cardinals organization has been told, you guys got to upgrade your stadium in the next 4 years, or we're going to pull that team off of you.
Oh, jeez.
So, I mean, there's going to be a lot in play there, but I like how things are going right now. I'm glad they're getting rid of the 7-inning games. I'm glad they're getting rid of the international, let's put the runner at second base rule and all that stuff. It was good for a fix, but let's get rid of that stuff. Let's get back to old-time baseball.
And I haven't really heard from you on Running Point since we had the COVID season of 2020, and things were so different that year. You didn't have any fans, and you're in one of the best baseball cities in America, in St. Louis. What's it like kind of seeing that stadium back to normal and the fans of St. Louis being able to be back into that stadium?
It was good until they put the mask mandate back on today, which, this morning it's been a 3-ring circus around St. Louis. But no, I mean, it was great to have a packed house for the Cubs series last week, excuse me. I'm going to see the Kansas City series here in a couple weeks, and I'm excited to see the crowds for that. So it's really cool that we're able to, get back to some sense of normalcy. It's taken a little bit. I will say this, right when it was middle of June when they finally announced that, hey, we're going to open it back up full capacity. And I'll bet it took 3 or 4 series to kind of get back to where it kind of was. And then with the Cubbies coming in, we all know the rivalry there. They finally were able to get some sellouts and all that. So it was good to see, good to see downtown. People, walking around downtown and enjoying, the restaurants and all that kind of stuff. So, hopefully, we can maneuver through this second wave that we're dealing with here in the St. Louis, in the Missouri area, and hopefully it doesn't kill our high school stuff that's going to start in 5 weeks. So that's going to be very interesting to see how this all happens over the next month or so.
I want to shift gears here for a second because I love your opinions. I love your takes in sports in general, but I know that you've probably seen this morning, and we're looking at it right now. There's rumors that Ohio State and the team up north are looking into the SEC. How do you feel? This is ridiculous, man.
No way.
I saw that tweet, and it's number one. Let's just. I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think, they want to get to 20. They want the mega conferences, and I get it. And I think at some point it is going to happen to where it's going to be 4 main, big players, and then nobody else is going to be around. But I absolutely do not see Ohio State and Michigan leaving the Big Ten. And here's the reason why. You've got the auto bids. And the reason is, and I'm sure that you guys have talked about this. The reason this is all coming about now is because the CFP is going to 12 teams. That is a done deal. That is going to happen in the next 3 to 4 years. So, you get the 6 auto bids, and then you get the 6 at-larges. So now everybody is jockeying because they know they've got to up their schedule. They've got to up their games. And that's why Texas and Oklahoma, 2 of the blue bloods in the Big 12, they see the handwriting on the wall. The Big 12 conference in football is not good anymore. It is terrible, other than maybe 2 or 3 teams. So they knew the only way that they can get a piece of that the college football playoff pie is they had to make a move. And, I will say this, Joe Castiglione, the AD down at Oklahoma, he's no dummy.
Right.
He's from Missouri. He's from the St. Louis area originally. And, he is a very, very intelligent individual. And this was well thought out. Now, the school I feel bad for is A&M, because apparently this has all been going on for the last 6 months. And Greg Sankey and the SEC staff kept it so far under wraps. A&M had no clue this was coming down till last Wednesday when it broke loose at the SEC Media Day. So, that's great. It's going to happen. And we all know it's going to happen. I mean, they made the announcement today that they're forfeiting their media rights starting in 2025. That opens the door. The question is going to be, how quick is the turnaround going to be? Is it going to be next year, or is it going to be in 2 years?
Yeah.
But I think, the big part of it is going to be the other dominoes that are going to fall in this whole thing. I think the Big 12 is gone. I think and I hate to say that because I've got a lot of really good friends that work for the Big 12. But I think the Big 12 is going to take such a hit. I just don't see them being able to draw schools to come and join them to try and counteract everything else. I think the Pac-12 is going to go, after some teams. I think the Big Ten is going to go after the Iowa States of the world. I think Iowa State would be a great fit for the Big Ten. I think Cincinnati would be a great fit for the Big Ten. But did that report this morning? Make a phone call and let Ohio State and Michigan, that team up north that can't beat our Buckeyes, save their lives. It's not going to happen. I just cannot see them joining the SEC. And the other part of it too is you stay in the Big Ten, you get one of those auto bids, and you roll the dice. You go to the SEC. I'm telling you, Oklahoma and Texas, this is what you want. Don't be afraid that when you get beat up a few times, be careful what you wish for.
And I got to believe that Alabama is going to have something to say about this. Like, you invite Ohio State, Michigan, not so much, but Ohio State, you invite them into the SEC, and Alabama's going to be like, wait a minute, wait. We don't necessarily want to play them every year. Okay. Like, we're good when all the marbles are on the line, in January, we're cool with it. However, maybe not, in an October setting, because it's a different team. It's
Alabama
a different team.
would have to eventually come up to Columbus. I mean, that's going to happen if they're in the same conference.
Wait, you mean Alabama has to travel?
Right.
No.
Well, I mean, hold on. Mizzou has been part of the SEC now for 10 years, I believe it is now. We've only seen Alabama once come to Central Missouri. We have only seen LSU come to Central Missouri once. But how many times have we seen Tennessee and Kentucky make the trip to Columbus? It's ridiculous how they do their scheduling. And they're good. I mean, here's the thing. And, they're going to have to redo their scheduling. And the SEC, once again, they have to get rid of that end-of-season non-conference weekend that they let the teams schedule for, because guess what? With this new 12-team, college football playoff, they're not going to be able to do that. And now you're adding 2 teams in. They're probably going to go to somewhat of a pod system from what I'm hearing, which would be interesting to see how they're going to line that thing up. But, I mean, they don't travel. And the other thing, too, honestly, if I'm Ohio State and I'm Ryan Day, I don't want the same reason why Saban doesn't want it. You give me that opportunity, that shot in January to play them and take them out in the national championship game. I'm totally cool with that, because I know I can do everything I need to do in the Big Ten to put myself into that situation to play in the national semifinals.
I agree with you. All right, last topic before we let you go. And I know you didn't really sign up for this, but I appreciate you calling in anyway. College sports as a whole. Do you feel like within the last 90 days, it's teetering? Like I feel like it's on edge because of the NIL stuff, because of this. You just don't know. I mean, there's so many things. I feel like college football, even though we all know it's been a business this entire time, has turned into a business, big business, in the last 90 days.
Without a doubt. And it's going to get worse. I think the, name, image, and likeness, that is starting to push the needle. The whole transfer portal thing. I mean, what people don't understand with the transfer portal is at one point, there were nearly 6,000 names in the transfer portal. And then you've got, the conference realignment coming back up. Yes, we've known for a long time that football is a business, but now it's really taking over as a business. And I'm going to be very interested to see how a lot of these athletic directors are going to approach things. Even presidents, university presidents, how are they going to approach things? Because we saw the first wave of what happened with COVID last year with schools dropping sports. And you were mentioning track and field earlier. Track and field was one of the sports that took the biggest hit, when schools were dropping sports because of COVID and money and different things along those lines. And, if you truly want this to turn into a business, then you're going to see very few sports, and those sports better generate money, because if they don't, then we're not going to play them. And that's where the Division II, Division III, and the NAIA are really going to flourish and kind of pick up the pieces, because they need those sports for admissions and for enrollments and different things along those lines. But on the D1 level, I think right now it's going to be adapt or die. The great lines from the movie Moneyball.
Yep.
You better adapt right now, or you're not going to be around, and we'll find somebody else we can put in that seat to get the job done.
I love it. Jimmy, I love your takes. A legend in multiple time zones, and probably some of the best takes that I know on my timeline. So thank you for popping on, brother. Don't be a stranger.
No problem, guys. Hey, want to say hi to everybody back home. And, hey, we got college football, Youngstown State, the Valley Football Conference starting up here in about 5 weeks. So excited for that to get cranked up.
Go Gwins. We'll see you soon, my dude.
All right, buddy. Take care, man.
You too.
Bye-bye.
That guy, if you aren't friends with him on Facebook, and he is the most friendly person in the world, has been a huge supporter of us since the jump. But off that course, one of the biggest supporters of me, and I can't thank him enough. He was on our Facebook page, says he loves the new format, but his takes, like, just a wealth of knowledge, and he's a new man. I mean, he said he dropped 70 plus pounds. Yes. I mean, he's a new man. He looks good, feels good, and you can tell that he loves his job. So Jimmy, we appreciate you, brother, and you are welcome here anytime.
That's the thing. I mean, you call the hotline, we might take you for a little bit. We might hold you.
Go for a ride.
If you got some takes,
Go for a ride.
call in. It's open for the rest of the show. 330-886-0813. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline.
And don't forget to comment. I mean, the comments are new, so we know it's going to take a little bit, but it's a game changer for us because you don't have to leave your workspace. You can just pop us on your phone or on your computer or whatever device you have, and you can have your 2 cents cashed in at the Running Point Bank, so to speak, here on YSN.
You know what I love about Texas A&M not knowing that Texas was coming in? It's because for the last couple of years, Texas A&M has been puffing their chest a little bit and saying, Texas is scared to play us. They won't play us in out of conference. They won't keep that rivalry up. And now here comes Texas, and now Texas A&M is mad about it. It's like, okay, you've been saying it for years. Come play us out of conference, keep the rivalry up. You won't do it.
The only chip that they have, Ant, is the fact that they had the TV contract, right? That's the only chip that Texas has. They stink right now.
Right.
They're bad. Texas A&M has taken over the football scene in Texas, right? From that standpoint, I don't think that it's going to change. I think that A&M is going to continue to get better and better and better. And I think Texas is looking for a resource to level the playing field for them a little bit, which they would have never done. Like if the shoe was on the other foot, they'd be calling out A&M and being like, you guys are running away from us. And now Texas is the one running. Texas and Oklahoma are the one running. But Oklahoma knows that if you kind of connect yourself with Texas, listen, you can go for a ride. And you put those two together and you go to the SEC or whatever conference they end up in, you have a little bit more swag. And you're not the new kid in class, right? You got somebody you're familiar with. So you go, well, at least we still have this. But at the same time, I don't think they're going to be able to compete with the SEC. I just don't.
Especially not Texas.
No. I mean, Texas is going to be a bottom dweller in that conference. At least in the Big Ten, you can go, hey, well, you know what? We get money coming in. We got revenue coming in. That's not going to happen if you go to the SEC. Because SEC is CBS, correct?
Yep, CBS. And ESPN, because they have the SEC.
Yeah,
network.
so you look at that, you're not going to get the benefit of the capital and the revenue anymore. Like you're giving up your only chip.
Longhorn Network.
For what?
I mean,
for what? Like that's like Notre Dame's not going to do this. And I know we don't like talking about Notre Dame on this program necessarily, but but like Notre Dame is not going to go to the Big Ten. Everybody's holding out hope. The Notre Dame would have to have 50% of that Big Ten network ownership in order to leave what they have with NBC, because they're making money and not doing anything. They can play as an independent. They can play 7 games at home if they feel like it. It's all on how they want to schedule it. Notre Dame's not leaving. Texas is making a huge mistake because they're giving up the only cards that they have, and they're already stacked against them. You know what I mean? It's like having a 2 of hearts and in poker, and there's a flush on the table. You're like, you know what? We're going all in. What are you doing? What are you doing, Texas? What are you doing?
The tables have turned because when A&M was in the Big 12, it was Texas and you're my little brother A&M. You can have your, we're going to pound you every time we play. And now it's all of a sudden A&M, we're taking over the football scene in Texas. If you want to come join us in the SEC, you better strap up your boots because we're the better team now.
I just, it's going to be bad news for Texas. I don't see how this favors them at all, at all, because it's just not a good situation.
I mean, you might be able to argue that it'll get more recruits in because, hey, we're going to go play in the best conference in football, and we can try to get back to the Texas that used to be,
But you're not going to get that's almost worse, I think.
Right.
People see that and they go, oh, I got to play Alabama.
Wait a minute.
Pass. Hard pass. Where's Texas A&M at?
Yeah,
give me a call.
You wonder how big of a recruiting chip being in the SEC is.
For Oklahoma, what are you doing? Like you're finally you own that.
That's why Ohio State should not go at all because they are the thing in the Big Ten, and they're consistent and they're there. Why would you leave that?
Well, because from Ohio State's standpoint that if you and Michigan leave, that's it. That's it. Big Ten's dead.
Yeah.
Like nobody's sticking around for Wisconsin. Sorry, Wisconsin.
Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota. Nobody's sticking around for you. They don't care. So if it's in a Ohio State's in a great situation because they could go anywhere they want because they're going to be welcomed because they know at the end of the day they rule the roost. They're a national powerhouse. And this is what the Big Ten failed to understand this whole time. Ohio State is the only team that is a national powerhouse in football in that conference. I don't care. Northwestern? What? Okay. I'll give you last year, right? Wisconsin, a few years ago. Ohio State is every year. Every year. Since the Tressel era. You look at that. Like, Ohio State is the Big Ten. Big Ten is Ohio State. If Ohio State decides that they are going to leave, the Big Ten just might as well fold it up. Sell the T-shirts, liquidate everything, you're gone.
They'd be in the same boat the Big 12 is in now, because Oklahoma is their bread and butter, and now Oklahoma's like, see ya. And now Big Ten's like, what do we got? Oklahoma State, maybe?
Yeah. So the Big Ten, if you're a Big Ten guy or gal that works for them, Ohio State that's your money. That's your cash cow. Whatever they need, you are 24/7 butler service, right? And Michigan's in the same boat, because if both of them leave, not only are you done, you're packing it up tomorrow. Like, you're not even liquidating. You're sending all your T-shirts over to the third world country that they do for the loser of the Super Bowl. And you're just like, hey, have at it. We can't even sell these. It's bad news. This is bad for college sports. It's bad for college athletics. The rebranding, the realignment, whatever you want to call it, the NIL, which I'm okay with for the most part. But there's some downplays here, Ant, that is going to really put schools that don't bring in a whole lot of revenue from advertising and sponsorships. They're going to have to be fighting their own kids for the same capital, for the same money. That's going to get ugly. But like Jimmy said, the transfer portal is the kiss of death. The transfer portal is the kiss of death, because 6,000 kids in the transfer portal at one time. That's
just football.
How do you even monitor that? How do you capture that? There's enough people going out and sitting in the living rooms of 18 and 17-year-old kids trying to recruit them from high school to college. Now you have to keep your kids in your locker room and keep them recruit. It doesn't happen, man. It doesn't happen. These kids are going to go, you know what? Didn't work out for me here. Even if they do well, we're seeing that. Even if they do well, they go somewhere else.
Take a step up the ladder.
Or down.
Because
now they can get paid to go be the feature player at a smaller school. It is a recipe for disaster. And the scariest part about all this, if you're not scared now, is it's coming to high schools. We've already seen the realignments. We're starting to see the NIL in high school. We saw the high school basketball player sign for, was it $3 million?
Multi-million. And with just because basically he had a lot of followers on social media. That's what the hook was.
And I keep hearing that as almost like an excuse, right? Like he's just got a lot of followers. He's got to be pretty good at basketball.
Right. He's the seventh ranked kid on the top 100 list.
He just knows how to brand himself.
But he does, yeah.
But you're telling me that there's not going to be some local company that goes, hey, you know what? I like the way this kid plays. He's 14 years old. If we get him in now, we have him for 4 years. Like, it's going to get dangerous to the point where there's going to be criminal charges, because I'm telling you, and this is a conspiracy theory, where there's smoke, there's fire. With sports betting coming around, it's going to start. You're going to start shaving points. You're going to see kids getting hurt or intentionally hurting other kids. I mean, it's going to get bad. And because these kids, 14 to 22, do not have the ability to separate personal and professional. They don't. So you're going to see a quarterback, get hurt in practice because a defensive end wants his job, wants his capital. It's going to get ugly, man. It's going to get ugly.
And like one of the sponsors comes up and says, hey, you know what? We're feeling like you should lose this game.
Yeah. And think about this. All this, we talked about all the things that kids have to deal with nowadays. Add this to their plate, that they're getting money paid on their name, image, likeness. And, oh, by the way, you know what? You didn't have a good game. We're going to take it back.
You know what else is scary? There are some really shady boosters in college sports. And now you've pretty much said, you can go ahead and give a kid money. Doesn't matter. No more illegal OBJ $100 shakes. Those are totally fine.
They're cool now.
So you've
as long
opened-
as there's something for it.
You've opened the door for a lot of shady boosters that we know exist in college athletics.
And you know what the NCAA did is they basically, we know what they did. They just let this happen because at some point it's going to have to be regulated. And the NCAA is going to go, told you so. It's less work for them to let this go, right? And they just go, huh?
Kind of like let Rome burn and then blame it on the
and then you can
wanna blame
rebuild it,
on.
right? Because then they're going to look to somebody for answers. And the only person that can answer that is going to be the NCAA, because they're going to go, well, now we have a president of the NCAA. Now we have a figurehead, and he's going to make all the decisions. And guess what? All this realigning that you did, you're going back to you're going to do what we want you to do. And so the power will go from the conferences back to the NCAA. So Rome is burning, my friend, whether you see it or not. The smoke is well, I guess that's pun, but the smoke is flaring right now. And if you like this brand, you are going to love it in the next year, 2 years, because it's going to take a while, but this is going to completely backfire on college athletics. And then what do you do then? Where do you start from? Because in my opinion, Pandora's box is open. How do you
can't just undo NIL. You can't say, well, we're not going to, but you will, the NCAA will come out with strict regulations, I bet.
How do you do the transfer portal or undo the transfer portal? You can't. You can't, because you're going to have to do it. Okay, well, this is the year that we're going to stop it. But anybody that's in the portal right now is allowed to move. Everybody's going to jump in the portal. Everybody's going to jump in the portal because they don't want to miss out. And then moving forward, you can only transfer. It's going to change the way that you transfer. It's going to change the way that credits transfer. It's going to change the way everything is going to change again. I think back to normal, but it's going to be a lot tighter from the NCAA. This is how dictatorship happens. They let everything go, burn it down, and then I'm the boss now.
Right.
Now I'm the captain now.
And they can say, hey, I can fix all your problems that you kind of created yourself.
Yep.
Come to me.
NCAA knows exactly what it's doing. I mean, they've got more lawyers than probably most major corporations.
There's a reason
in
they
America.
didn't fight this, and it wasn't because it was so overpowering that they just laid down like a dead dog.
No. They said
they were okay.
This works because somebody's sitting there, like we talked about, somebody's sitting there writing, and they're like, wait a minute. Why are we fighting this? Let it happen. Let it happen. Like they're going to burn out, and they will. And it's a scary scene right now in college athletics. And if you're a student athlete that is going to college or in college and plays athletics, you might feel like you're winning right now, but I'd be wary. I'd be very wary because the other shoe's going to drop at some point in the next couple of years, and it's going to be a louder thud than the first one.
I think the waters are very murky. We have a lot of college kids that think they know what they're doing, think they know how to handle this kind of money, think they know how to market themselves. And I think some of them are going to hit a wall.
Well, it's just, I mean, we talk about it all the time on the Power Hour. It's like having a parent that lets their kid, okay, he thinks he knows what he's doing. He doesn't listen to anything I say. So you got to let him fail. You got to let him go out and get burnt. And you hope it's not too bad, right? You hope it's nothing illegal. But at the same time, you sit there and you go, oh man, like this could get back because you have no power over it. But the NCAA, even though I think they're still an evil corporation, they're doing the right thing as the parent here. And they're saying, okay, go out there and have a good time. Do whatever you think is right. But understand that you are responsible for everything that happens. Like you're an 18-year-old. Guess what? You go to jail, it's on you.
Now the NCAA is doing the whole washing their hands clean and saying, not my responsibility anymore.
Yes and no. I mean, the NCAA will always love that because there is no NCAA without the universities, the colleges, right? Without interscholastic events. But they're laying back, they're laying low, and they're saying, all right, man, do what you got to do. And, you know, like we'll bail you out, but it's going to cost you. You know what I mean? So like you're going to go to jail, but you're going to pay me back the bail that we're bailing you out for. And you're going to do some time in the kitchen. You're going to clean some dishes, you know? So that's where I think that there's just an interesting take from everybody, but nobody's looking. They're seeing everything right here. Like college athletes, schools are seeing everything right here. Well, the NCAA's got a drone in the sky, and they're like, all right, I see everything that's going on, and you're just waiting for the final nuke, if somebody pressed the button. So it's going to be troublesome. And again, that's the conspiracy theorist coming out of me, but I have to believe for the NCAA to just kind of go, and sit back with their arms crossed. They know what they're doing.
And inevitably, this will drop down into the high school ranks. We've already seen it. We'll talk about it a little bit more on what that could mean for high school athletes in our area and in our level of high school athletics, and what the future might either be darker or brighter, or however you kind of use that perspective. We'll take a break. Be right back for the third hour of Running Point on YSN.
Hello, Burbick with G. Burbick. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a product for your family on the dinner table. Our grass-grain supplement Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your our farm on New Buffalo Road. Visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms. It just tastes better.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, why shop anywhere else but Tri-State Ford? Choose from our great selection of pre-owned vehicles. Plus, we've got you covered with our exclusive Tri-State Ford Advantage. It includes a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty with your pre-owned vehicle and much more. Come see why so many customers from the Tri-State area buy their pre-owned vehicle at Tri-State Ford.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Bad credit, no problem. I can get you approved for a low-interest loan and maybe even a low-payment lease on a new car at the #1 Chevy dealership in Trumbull County for 3 years in a row. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved or come see me, Tony Page, to get a new vehicle today. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
When Mother Nature starts flexing her muscles, make sure you're prepared for comfort. For over a decade, NDC Heating and Cooling has been sending their team of experienced, certified, and knowledgeable technicians to service the area. NDC services all makes and models and carries a wide selection of furnaces, air conditioners, and indoor air quality products. To schedule an appointment, call 330-457-2562. That's 330-457-2562. For all your residential and commercial heating and cooling needs in Columbiana or Mahoning counties, call NDC Heating and Cooling in New Waterford, Ohio, where our thermostat is always set on quality.
And welcome back to Running Point. Anthony Hartwig with you on YSN's Running Point from 12 to 3, Monday through Friday. The hotline is open. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, 330-886-0813. The comments are also open wherever you are watching, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, whatever your medium is. We are open on the comments. And we would love to hear from you. Next on the show, we are going to talk a little bit of, we were talking about the NIL and the trickle down of it landing in high school athletics and what that can mean for not just the top 10 prospects in America, but also what it means for athletics in our level in the area, and what it could mean for kids to kind of be able to make money off their own brand and being able to brand themselves and use social media, because the place that signed the North Carolina basketball player, one of the reasons they stated they signed him was because he had 5 million followers on social media. So he obviously was able to brand himself with his game really well, and that earned him a NIL contract. And what that turns into from kids that aren't on the top 100 prospect list and want to kind of make a name for themselves and see an avenue to kind of make some money with their deals with social media. And is this any different than the kids that kind of make money on Twitch? Because they're out there, they have a lot of following. They brand themselves on Twitch to be the esports. And they get monetized Twitch streams if they're popular enough. I mean, is a basketball player making money off of social media at a high school level any different than the 17-year-old that is really good at streaming himself playing Rocket League or Super Smash Brothers or whatever game you want to kind of pick out of the hat? And if he has a really popular Twitch stream, it's going to come up and it's going to be monetized. I mean, this is kind of the realm of the day and age we're living in, where kids have this avenue to make money. Well, even if they run their own YouTube channel. I mean, if they have a YouTube channel that is popular enough, then they're going to get the subscribers and they're going to start monetizing their YouTube channel. Where does the line kind of get drawn between that, being a social media presence and being monetized for that, and then doing the same thing just because you're good at basketball or you're good at football or you're good at whatever sport you want to kind of choose that you're good at? It's going to be interesting to see how athletes kind of navigate that and how that kind of affects what our views are on high school age kids making money off of what they do. I'd love to hear from some people on what they think about that. I think just like the college, I mean, there's going to be negatives to it, because you give a kid a lot of money, what are they going to do with it? But there's also going to be, there are going to be the kids that are able to navigate that type of relationship and be able to handle that kind of responsibility. I think it's just all about the kid that's doing it and where his head is and what kind of character he has. I think money, if you have the character, then the extra money or what you do with the marketability doesn't have to change that. But obviously that goes both ways. If you don't have the proper character or the right head on your shoulders, then all of a sudden you get a lot of money for something that you're doing. That can send you down a dark path. So I think do I like the fact that we could be seeing a 15-year-old kid make money because he plays basketball? I don't necessarily like it. I think it will turn a pure high school sport into kind of a professional type thing, where we see more and more kids kind of play for the money and play to kind of one up their status. But like I said, we're in this world where kids that are under the age of 18 are already making money, whether it be on social media for Twitch and their gaming stream or their YouTube channel. There are ways to make money off your social media marketing. So the question is, where's the line between making money off your social media account and then also making money off your athleticism? And props to the young man from North Carolina who was managed to do both. I mean, he's a top 7 prospect in the basketball scene. I think he's eligible for the NBA draft in 2024, but he's also able to marketing himself on social media and have over 5 million followers on social media. And that was, like I said, one of the reasons why the company that decided to sign him is because he does market himself well and he does have that brand. So it's going to kind of leak into each other. I think we're going to see athletes with the smarts and the ability to use social media platforms to build their brand. Now, I don't think we're going to get to a point where someone can make a ton of money, multi-million dollars just on their athletic ability in high school. I think, they're going to want high schoolers that also build their social media brand. I don't think we're going to see like in college, if you're just a top player that plays for Duke, I don't think, Adidas or the companies that are signing them really are going to be interested in how many followers you have. I mean, obviously, if you play basketball for Duke and you're high caliber, you're going to have naturally a high amount of followers. But that's not because you're good at branding yourself. That's just because you're on TV every night, not necessarily because you're good at running a social media account and putting your own brand out there. So I think there's going to be a vast difference between who we see really make a career for themselves at a young age and compared to who we see make that career for themselves at the high school and college level. And we're going to have DJ kind of back. And what are kind of some of your thoughts on how this will shape up and what kind of kids are going to be able to make the most out of this?
From a branding standpoint,
yeah,
and NIL, it's going to be interesting because I'd like to say that it's just going to be the kids that have a clean image, a clean brand. But there's some bad boys and bad girls out there that are going to get an imagery from their name, image, and likeness from being, I don't want to say bad people, but like enforcers, like a tattoo shop or, things of that nature, that they need somebody a little bit more rough and tumble than a clean cut, like Richie Giuliano, but that's the fun part of this for me is everybody has a different brand, and it's how you carry yourself that your branding is seen worldwide, right? You have a different brand than I do. You don't swear. That's your personal thing. I do. I have a tendency to let the words fly a little bit. But it's one of those things where, like, if we were out there doing our name, image, likeness from a branding standpoint, we would come back with different sponsorships, different brands that we represent. I think personally, like the DJ Oakley of branding and marketing and sales, this is fun for me to watch because I get to see from a perspective that we've been working for a long time. Like we run what was used to be a very shiny brand of YSN, and we have some rust spots now. We have some spots where we have some words that come out on the air, whether intentional or unintentional, and we have different audiences for different shows. This show for the last year and a half has had a different audience than Power Hour. I think we're going to start seeing some of the back and forth and some of the lines blurred as we move forward, which will also blur some of the sponsorships. Mm-hmm. Matt's going to have a great opportunity to sell multiple shows now because they're going to be a little bit more like each other. Ron had a different brand and a different following than we have at YSN. He brought different listeners, different viewers. And I think it's going to be the same thing with schools. And I think it's going to be the same thing with programs. Is just because, one sponsor likes one kid on a basketball team, that kid might be paired up with a kid on the football team and under the same school because they're very like an imagery. But again, I think the trouble, Ant, is going to be when you have schools pitting for dollar signs against kids, because now the sponsor is in control. You know what I mean? Like the sponsor will now be able to go, well, I like this one, but I don't like this one. Or I like to be able to just sponsor the main guy or the point guard on the team or the shooting guard or the guy that scores all the points, the quarterback, instead of having to sponsor the whole team for $1 million. You're sponsoring one kid for $100,000. So the sponsor can save money and be branded at the same time. But the caveat that I found is you can't represent the school.
In some states.
In most states. That's what I've found. So we're working on some of this NIL stuff as we speak with some of our athletes that we've had. And we can't have the branding. And in the state of Ohio, we can't have the branding for like a major school in the state of Ohio. Can't have it. Can't have it for any of it. They have to be completely separate. So like if we design a t-shirt for one of our brand ambassadors, they can't have the university or the college on it. It has to be them. So it's interesting. The college wants nothing to do with it, but they're happy to bring that kid in. And you know, I mean, I don't know. It's going to start affecting a lot more things than people think it is.
Now, in the high school level, do you think it's any different? I asked this before you came on. A high school athlete making money off of his brand. I mean, we've already seen for the last couple of years, 16, 17-year-old kids having very popular Twitch channels or YouTube channels or whatever it may be, getting monetized in that kind of facet. Is this a new world or is this something that we've seen for the last couple of years? Is there a difference between an athlete making money off his brand and a gamer making money off of his Twitch channel or a YouTube influencer making money off of that? I mean, do you see differences? Do you see kind of dangers in one that aren't in the other?
I think esports is what really spurred a lot of this because there's kids making money at home playing video games, and now it's classified as opposed to gaming into esports. So there was a lot of people that looked into this and were like, okay, well, listen, you're telling me that I don't have to go throw on 10 pounds of equipment and run behind, with a pigskin in my hand behind a bunch of 300 pounders, and I don't have to take a beating. I can just sit here and play video games and get paid. So what's funny is people laugh at, playing video games is not a sport. Well, that's not really up to us. It's up to society. It's up to the people that participate. And the esports crowd and community have overpowered the sports community. And now they are a welcome sight because the sports community said, hey, we can take this model and we can utilize it and we can create our own brands for playing sports. Because we're actually, and no offense, esports, again, we're actually doing something. We're actually real life playing esports because people play esports and they play Madden. Well, Madden is a figure of the imagination of what people are actually doing in the NFL. So from that standpoint, sports owes esports a lot, especially in the college communities. And from a high school, dude, it's coming. It's coming. And there's a lot on the line with it. Because just imagine, would you ever give a 16-year-old keys to a Ferrari? And a Ferrari is a $100,000 vehicle plus, right? But imagine your brand, like a YSN brand, giving them $100,000 to represent YSN. I'm sitting here like this with the keys. You know what I mean? Like,
here's $100,000. You can't touch it until you're 18.
Oh, you can touch it.
I know.
It's yours.
It's one of those things. Like the child actors that make money, but they can't touch. It'd be one of those. Here's the keys. I don't want you touching it.
I'm really curious to see in the high school because you're going to see car dealerships. You're going to see ice cream stands. You're going to see all kinds of places that back these high school kids because they can just back the high school kids for cheaper than they have to do for an agreement. We talked about the battle between colleges and their athletes. High schools and their athletes is going to be a lot more venomous.
Oh yeah, because these high schools heavily rely on the money they bring in from sponsorships.
So imagine a kid wearing a shirt underneath his jersey that on the sleeve it says, advertise here, and that school necessarily doesn't have to have. Or that brand, I should say, doesn't necessarily have to advertise with the school anymore for huge dollars because every time that kid has a picture taken of him doing a layup, he's got your branding right here.
Yep.
And it's not free advertising because you're paying the athlete.
But you have to pay the athlete a lot less than you would have to pay the school for a blanket.
You don't have to rely on the kid being at the exact location at the exact time with your branding on a billboard. You know what I mean? Like the perfect storm to happen to have your advertising get to be free advertising. It's more calculated advertising. And I think the brands know this better because they have marketing departments, and the schools are handcuffed. Because what are they going to do? Because if you don't let your kids do that in the world of open enrollment, the kids are going to leave. The kids are going to leave, and it's going to cause all kinds of issues. So it's going to be very interesting to me to see kind of what happens with this. As I'm looking and I see Coach Seidel chiming in. Matt says Tate Martell is now on his third school. That is going to become the norm. So you look at that, and I mean, that's a college level. High school level, how do they stop that? Can you?
Yeah, can you?
No, because the OHSAA or whatever the governing board is that has to look into this, they're going to get to a point where they have so many of these things going on that they don't have enough people. And again, remember, according to the OHSAA, they are in financial difficulty, right? They don't have the amount of people to utilize what they need to do right now. So good luck. Good luck. I mean, Pandora's box is open, and it's only going to get deeper and deeper. Wait till you see a 6-year-old that is branded. You know what I mean?
We've seen there's a 12-year-old Olympian this year for Syria. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility to see kids under the age of 14 and 13 be really held up to high esteem because of their athletics. I mean, we're seeing it in not just the Olympics, but in international sport as a whole.
I'm really surprised that we don't see more branding on these Olympic athletes. I don't know if it's like illegal, but like I saw it was a black face covering on one of our swimmers the other day. She was a silver medalist. There was no branding on it. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I know where I would be. Hey, guess what? I want to be on your mask. I'll give you 50 masks and here's $50,000. But from an Olympic standpoint, like, are you allowed to do that?
I know the Olympics are really tight with this because like even anyone outside of NBC is not allowed to use Olympic highlights.
Right.
So I feel like maybe the Olympics put the jaw down and said,
but like you have Nike,
right?
You have Speedo, you have all the, I mean, I'm watching this mountain biking still, and their uniforms, I think they have branding on them. Yeah. Adidas is on the one. So maybe it's just general. I don't even know what that one is. That's Swiss. Also, I thought everybody from Sweden and Switzerland was supposed to be blonde. I was shocked that they weren't. I was watching beach volleyball, and I was like, wait a minute.
That guy's not blonde.
It was, I'm not watching guys beach volleyball.
I tried to give you
sorry.
the credit.
I'm sorry, that's not happening. But I will tell you this is like Sweden and Switzerland, and nobody was blonde. And I'm like, wait a minute. What the heck is this? All my life, I thought everybody from over there was blonde. Not the case. Every movie I've ever watched is a lie.
Yeah.
Fibs.
That's like the stereotype of that part of the world is
blue eyes and blonde hair.
Blonde hair.
Nope, that's not how it is. They both had were
like,
brunettes.
I mean, you would think like, oh, the Asian countries have shorter people. That's like, but you look at their volleyball team, it's like 6 foot, 6 foot, 6 foot. And it's like, and then
that's tall to you and I. But like when you look across the net, and it's 6'10".
They tell you that there's no shortage of 6 foot women because 6 foot is tall for a woman.
Yeah.
So the American team of April Ross and I can't remember, there's a new girl with April Ross on the beach. Shocker that I don't know something about the women's sports. I'm kind of
don't even start.
We're
trying to fix that.
I'm hurting my brand.
We're trying to fix it. They're doing the rock again.
But they looked across, and both the Chinese girls were taller than them, and it was one of the topics of the broadcast. And like that's not really, it's a false stereotype.
Well, and that's the funny thing about, and I guess funny is a interesting word to choose, but it's as we continue to populate this earth and the generations continue, like there's no such thing as purebreds really anymore from a genealogy standpoint from that. I mean, it's everybody's kind of mixed with something else, which I think is great. It makes everybody unique. DNA is meant to be different. You have a different DNA strand than I do, and Matt's got a different one than you do. And it's one of those things where it makes it awesome because I'm not one that likes segregation in the first place. I like people that can, you love who you love, and that's on you. And when you procreate, it's a mix. Like, I'm an ambrosia guy. Like, I love different fruit with whipped cream and the pudding and all that stuff. Mix it in the bowl. The more fruit, the merrier when it comes to that, because the more flavorful it is. And I think that's what's so great about our country is we have always been a perfect personification of what the world is we're typically, just a giant bowl of soup, that's whatever you can find in the fridge, you throw together and it comes out tasting good. That's what it makes America so great. And that's why I like the Olympics, because you can see some of the countries that are still pretty straight and narrow on, their athletes and, kind of where their society is as a whole. And that's not taking away anything from them. It's just, there's a reason that we're always at the top of the medal count. And it's because, athletics has become such a secondary thing in our society to some of the other conversations that we have on a daily basis. Like, it's cool to see. It's cool to see, different people of different, ethnicities and cultures at the top of there, but they're still representing the 50 stars and 13 bars of our country. So
I love seeing the people that are playing for America that are of other descent.
Yeah.
But they're American citizens.
Yeah.
And it's like they have every opportunity to go play for another country if they wanted to, because they have descent there. But
I don't like it the other way around, though.
They choose to play for America. And it does go the other way around.
It bugs me the other way around. Because I am a proud American. Right. I'm a guy that like, listen, if you want to live here and do all that, like, I get it that your mom was born in Croatia or whatever, but like, you're an American. You represent America. Now, if America said no thanks, then I get it. But I don't like the whole idea of essentially you get to go somewhere else to think about representing another country. If you're an American, be an American. Sigler saying, looks like the biggest upset so far, China goes down in mixed doubles ping pong.
That's insane because they dominate that sport.
I dominate ping pong. I have the belt. I took it off of you, Tony Foster. So if you're watching, game on.
He'll be on tomorrow.
I won't be here tomorrow.
I know you won't be here.
I'm going to hide my belt so he doesn't try to steal it. It's like the 24/7 belt in wrestling where anybody that wants a shot at the title, there's an open challenge waiting. And I'll be standing at the table waiting. Just waiting for somebody to try to take it off me.
I beat Ron, and then I said that's enough.
I think
I just wanted to prove that I wasn't the worst in the office. So,
well, guess
now
what?
He's gone. So
now you are. Again. Sorry about your luck. Matt's out there waiting for a ping pong title right now. There he is.
There he is. I'll be out in a minute, Matt. I got some work to do.
You got 20 or 32 minutes work to do.
Yeah.
So far, so good, man. I love the comments on here. I think it makes all the difference in the world.
I love the engagement. I love the fact that we can hear from people and they can make their opinions known without having to call the phone line.
Big week this week, debut week for you, essentially.
Yep.
What things do you have in store this week for people to tune in tomorrow through Friday?
Well, we got tomorrow's going to stay our football day. So we have a handful of coaches calling in tomorrow. We're going to have Mike Pavlansky of Canfield and Tony Foster's going to join the program. We're trying to swing a couple others that aren't confirmed, ironed down yet, but we're swinging them. On Wednesday, Louisville head coach is going to come on. He had to move from Tuesday to Wednesday. He's going to be joining us from Daytona Beach.
All right.
So how about that? And I'm excited to talk to him because we looked at his schedule last week, and Louisville's football schedule is just a gauntlet of Division I, Division I, Division I. He gets to play an independent schedule, and I'm excited to talk about his schedule and kind of how that's going to cut their teeth.
I guarantee there's a cold drink in his hand, so maybe we should get a cold drink in yours.
Right. We're going to have Brian Tolnar on Wednesday,
Always.
and it's going to be the FaceTime Brian Tolnar.
Can't wait.
Which is going to be really fun. We're trying to get a couple of soccer and volleyball coaches to end out the week. I'm really excited to try to get Mooney's new girls coach, Abby Golden, on because her resume is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
She has ties in an FC program in Cleveland that's recognized by the World Cup Federation. So really trying to get her on, and we're going to have a lot of volleyball, soccer, and the other sports to close out the week.
From an Olympic standpoint, what Olympic event, if you could do anything of any of these events, what would be the one that you would be like, I want to do that one? I want to medal in that event.
I think the one that's most rewarding when I see, like, when I know the work that gets put in, and they all put in so much work, it's unbelievable. But I look at these gymnasts, male and female, and I know that they're putting in like 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, and they're getting rid of any kind of a personal life. They're homeschooling themselves. They're putting their body through stuff that your body shouldn't really go through technically.
Yeah.
Just for that one shining moment for a gold medal at the Olympics every 4 years.
I feel like that's all of them though, right?
That sense of accomplishment for a gymnast, and that is all of them. But you look at the basketball, they got the NBA and then the FIBA. And you look at some of the other sports that have, even soccer, the World Cup is taken a little bit more seriously than the Olympics, which is kind of weird, but it is. I mean, soccer puts a little bit more weight on winning the World Cup than they do on winning a gold medal.
They do the World Cup every
2
years.
So,
okay, so yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I'm watching this commercial right now of all the different athletes that are, puking, which I don't know why this is in the commercial, but I'm really interested. So you're saying gymnast? You'd be a gymnast?
Yeah.
I just saw archery and I thought it was really cool. Like the way that they shoot it and then they let it go. I've never seen that before. They let the thing go.
It's not the Hawkeye.
No,
it's not his form. I don't know if you
I don't know. Archery, I think swimming, I think would be awesome. I'm not a proficient swimmer. Like, I'm not good. Somewhere out there is the Westminster swim team teaching me how to swim in college because I'm that bad.
What's great? Swimming, it's like every Olympics, new records are being broken. Oh, this guy just broke the Olympic record. This guy just broke. It's like we're getting better and better as a world at swimming. And it's like, how do they keep just raising the bar every Olympics? It's like, well, how is swimming just getting better and better and better and better? It's
I think everything's getting better.
At what point do you hit the line and say we can't get any better?
Bigger, faster, stronger. That's where it's at now. And that's the difference. And I think that's the evolution of sports. Right. And what makes sports so great is we'll continue to break those records every single year. And then you look at the Olympics, that's every 4. So they should be breaking it. Now, if the Olympics were every year, I think we'd have a tougher time.
This swimmer swam the 100 meter in under a minute. And I was just like, that's this, like 57 seconds for a 100-meter swim.
If
in the backstroke.
If I had to breaststroke across a children's pool, I would drown. I would die. Because you look at and first off, I am, from the technology standpoint, because of what we do, I am enamored with the under the water video.
Oh, yes.
Enamored. Because I would love to have that technology. But when they're doing the breaststroke and like the way their legs work, my legs don't work like that. Like, I can't kick like a frog. Like, I do doggy paddle. Whatever it takes to keep me alive in a pool is what I'm doing. And if you've ever met me, you understand that the pool doesn't have to be very deep for me to drown in it. So it's one of those things where I could probably drown in a splash pad. So it's like I have to be very careful where I go into a pool. And listen, again, scared to death of drowning.
Oh, that's like top 5 worst ways to die.
Drowning or on fire.
I wouldn't want to
Which
burn
one
to
would
death.
you? Which one would you put over the other?
I feel like I would rather drown, at least because it's not painful. It's scary. It's panicky, but you're not like burning. Is like you're panicking. You're scared, and you're also burning, which hurts like all get out. But burning might be, I mean, we're getting into it dark, but burning might be a little bit faster, I guess, depending on how long it takes you to drown.
I mean, I'd be scared both, but like drowning, I'm like, I know I'm done.
Right.
Like before I'm even, the last breath leaves my lungs, I know I'm done. That's why when like my wife was talking about the backstroke, right? And she used to be a swimmer. Mm-hmm. And she said she was scared to death of the backstroke because it like feels like you're being waterboarded because you can't breathe because of how much water comes up on your mouth and your nose. And I got anxiety immediately just watching the close-ups of the warm-ups. And I'm like, oh, boy, nope.
What always got me by the backstroke is you're blind. Like you're swimming in a direction that you can't see.
Yeah. Give me floaties and a Donald Duck thing around my waist, and I'm good.
Welcome to the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning
Hello.
Hotline. Who do we have on the line? Hello? Hello?
Nope.
I
Hang
heard
up.
some. Okay.
I think that's one of those, hello, please don't hang up. And then they realize quickly that they were on a show. So we've tried, like, people have been trying to get us, like, registered on Google or something.
No.
And they call this line. It's the dangers of having one line.
Right.
Because you never know who's going to call that. We get pranked. We get, the Google calls and
We
stuff
get people
like that.
asking for information about YSN. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I just bought this. How do I get it from my email account? And it's like, we're happy to help you, but you're live on a show.
Come on.
Come on.
How do you like the Olympics? Hey, whatever moves the needle, right?
Back to your question earlier, what team sport would be interesting to have a pro league in the Americas? I am fascinated by handball. Like, handball is kind of secretly fun to watch.
I've never seen it.
And it's kind of like I think handball would be a fun team professional
Have you
sport.
ever seen slam ball?
Yeah, with the trampolines.
Love it. Like, that should be an Olympic sport. I really think so, because you can play it anywhere. You can play it on grass. You can play it on sand. Professional sport, I think it'd be really cool because you don't need to.
My mind went to the trampoline basketball, which was also called slam ball. But you're talking the little thing on the ground that you kind of okay.
Yeah, so slam ball would be cool because your home court could be anywhere.
Right.
Like, the San Diego slam ball team, professional slam ball team, could be on the beach, where Ohio could be. How sweet would it be? You could be in the snow.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or in the muck with a bonfire. Like, get creative, because I think that's what, if you look at baseball, it's a great sport. But the thing that keeps baseball alive are the venues.
Different.
Everything's venue. Everything's different with these venues. And football is always going to be 100 yards, right? Everybody knows what they're getting with football. People aren't necessarily going to the venues for football to see the stadiums. People go to the only reason the Pirates games are relatively attended is PNC Park right now.
Right.
Be the best baseball venue in the country, in my opinion. But like, to be able to change the venues like that, like slam ball would be cool to see as a professional sport. I know it's not even an Olympic sport, but like, it's a sport that started on Shark Tank that I think could end up being a really, really big sport.
And I'm sure there are professional slam ballers.
There
out
are.
I mean, that are sponsored, and
yes,
that's what makes you great. Like, there's a professional ultimate frisbee.
Respect
team,
for them
and
too.
Pittsburgh has it.
Yep.
Like, Pittsburgh has an ultimate frisbee team, and I didn't know it until a South Range graduate and someone who's a friend of mine has got on the team. Pittsburgh Firebirds or something. I think it's the Thunderbirds. But it's like, I didn't even know there was professional ultimate frisbee.
So ultimate, I'm thinking about, what's the other frisbee they have? The
frisbee golf.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about.
That's
that stuff's
insane, too.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, you ever see a hole-in-one on professional or on frisbee golf? How do they do that? Like, I can't even throw a frisbee regular. I can get it there. I don't know where it's going. I don't know how far it's going. But I guess that you get better with anything you do.
And then just like golf, you have like a bag of different sets of frisbees that are for like different situations. And
Is that real?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
There's like a putter frisbee and there's a driver frisbee, and they're different. Because my brother Billy is into frisbee golf legit.
Really?
And yeah, he has a bag full of frisbees in there for different situations. It's like different golf clubs.
Does it set you back like a couple $1,000s? Like,
if you take it seriously enough.
No.
I think yeah. I mean, if the people that are sponsored probably get frisbees that are, I don't know. I don't know how much my brother spent on it. Probably not a lot.
Respect to everybody and everybody in that sport. But if somebody told me, if I went in and I needed a frisbee fitting, and they told me my frisbee putter is going to be, $600 like a real putter is, I'd be like, adios, buddy. Adios. Dude got a flat tire. What do you do? Oh, you sit in the grass is what you do.
Sit on the grass.
My guy is mad. Miserable.
That's what always sucks. You've worked so hard for this one moment in the Olympics, and something like that happens, or like a runner kind of hurts himself, and then you just kind of sit there. And what else can you do?
When your body lets you down, it's one thing.
Right.
But if it's a piece of equipment, how pissed. How, like, Hulk angry. Like, I'd be so mad. So mad. Because that's not you. Like, you blow a hamstring, you know, it's different than blowing a tire in mountain biking. Because you feel like it's not you. You know, you did everything and something else let you down. That's why team sports are so challenging, because you can train, and if your teammate doesn't train, they could cost you everything that you've worked your tail off for.
That's why I think it's so impressive that Michael Phelps did what he did, and he was on 2 or 3 relay teams, because it wasn't all his individual medals. He won relay medals where if his teammate doesn't swim his best heat, then he doesn't win a medal in swimming.
Did you see what was trending on Saturday night? Michael Phelps retirement. Everybody in America forgot Michael Phelps retired in 2016. Everybody. So we're sitting there like, hey, we got swimming on lock because we got Michael Phelps. We got the swim meet Superman. And then they're like, hey, what the hell happened to Michael Phelps?
He's one of the broadcasters, I think.
Yeah, he is. He's 36 years old. And so he's my age. Dude's retired. Never has to really work again if he doesn't want to, but still gets to go to these games because he's a broadcaster, which let's go Omaha here. The best signing I've ever seen for a broadcasting network is Peyton and Eli Manning
doing Monday Night
Football. Yes. Alternate coverage.
Yeah, like a second.
But I will put out a guess in an estimate that they will triple the ratings for the regular Monday Night Football coverage. At least. And I would put Skittles on it.
I don't know what platform they're going to put it on, but most people, if you get the
ESPN2.
Oh yeah, then you get it. There's no problem with getting ESPN2.
If they were smart, they'd put it on ESPN Plus.
Yes.
Because that would be lights out. I would subscribe hands down just for that.
Just like Peyton's Places, which I think is one of the best.
And Eli's Places.
Scripted. I haven't seen Eli's Places.
Eli's Places.
I've seen Peyton's, but I think that's one of the best scripted shows.
It's the best
that ESPN has ever put on.
Yes, I would agree. I think that E60 is their best show that they've ever produced. Peyton's Place is, or Peyton's Places are right there. Eli's pretty good too. Eli's a little bit goofier, which you would expect. But Eli and Peyton in the booth is, I don't want to say what I want to say, but it's a dream come true for me because I am a huge Peyton Manning fan, like huge.
Now, since you are a huge Peyton Manning fan, what was all your take on Eli? Like, were you rooting for Eli when or did you try to get into Eli Manning, or was it just kind of like he's the little brother and he's not what I want?
So let me take you through the mindset of DJ Yoakley. So at first, I hated Tom Brady because of what he did to my Steelers, right? So anybody that played Tom Brady, I was all in on. So when Eli beat Tom Brady in those 2 Super Bowls, I was no bigger fan. But what I will say is, from a standpoint of when Brady just kept winning, no matter what was up against him, and he just kept blowing through championships with whoever's on his team, like a bunch of no names and Gronk. I'm a huge Tom Brady fan. Like leadership, the way he carries himself. If you watch some of the stuff, he's opening his world up a little bit because of the marketing aspect. He's at the end of his career, much like Peyton did, where somebody's going to get Tom Brady. I have a guess it's going to be CBS, and it's going to be Tom Brady and Jim Nantz on the CBS broadcast, which I think will be phenomenal. And I think that Tony Romo ends up going somewhere else because Tony Romo is the whole show. But I think the dynamic that Tom Brady has with Jim Nantz, if you've ever seen them together, it's hilarious. Peyton's Places being one of them when they were at Jim Nantz's house golfing. But to answer your question, I've become a huge Tom Brady fan. I respect the hell out of Eli for what he did with nothing. The dude had nothing. Like we talk about Ben Roethlisberger being my favorite quarterback in a Steelers uniform, my favorite Steeler of all time, but Ben had a lot more resources. Ben had Bettis. Ben had, some of these receivers that I'll admit he created these receivers. He created the problems that he had with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. But Eli never had that stuff. Eli got a year, 2 years maybe with Saquon, and Saquon was injured for the entire year last year. So I I don't know, man. Like the Mannings, there's something about them that I've always loved. The fact that they're always constantly, maybe it's just because they're Southern, that they always sound respectful. But Peyton did things in such a cerebral way that he studied for it. You know, he wasn't always the best. He wasn't always the most talented quarterback, but he studied up and he worked his ass off to be the best. And, you know, I've always been a fan of him. Just always been a fan of him, even going back to Tennessee. Like when I saw that he was the guy in Tennessee and how great he could be. And when it was Manning versus the dude from the Wolfpack from Washington, Ryan Leaf, like it's not even close. Ryan Leaf's not going to put in the work. He's not going to put in the effort. Leaf's there because he had one good year, you know, maybe a year and a half.
And we find out Leaf had some demons.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. And everybody does, right? Everybody's got demons that they've got to take hold of. But Peyton Manning never brought his wife Ashley into the limelight, in the spotlight. He raised his kids in private. He never really allowed his kids to, be part of that journey. And I think there's something to be respectful for that. And Brady did the same thing. The only time you ever see Brady's kids is on the podium, which is cool, And I thought what he did last year with his kid, he denied all the media outlets right after the game, after they won the NFC Championship, and he went to find his son. Yeah. Like, as a dad, that means the world to me now, which 10 years ago probably wouldn't have meant anything. So the older I get, the more respect I have for guys like Tom Brady, Eli Manning, and Peyton Manning has a special place in my heart.
Real quick before we let you go, because the Power Hour is coming up very soon. You got to call a lot of youth baseball this weekend. And
still going.
Team's going for the state championship. What was it like to kind of get to see the future of baseball in the area and the young kids kind of do what they're supposed to do out on the field?
Well, it's different because it's a state tournament, right? So we're seeing these kids from all over. We're seeing them from Cincinnati with Hamilton. We're seeing them from Rock Hill. We're seeing them from there's a place called Bellevue that's about 2 hours away down towards Columbus. New Albany is basically Columbus. We've dealt with them before. And then, of course, you have Boardman and some of these other teams, Highland, who beat Boardman yesterday. Baseball is arguably one of the best sports and coolest sports from the 10 to 12U level because it's still pure to the kids. You know what I mean? I know flag football is still a sport it's really starting to grab it and kids are starting to gravitate towards it. But baseball, there's something about baseball. And if you've never been to a tournament or a state tournament, I really encourage you to get out there tonight. It'll be 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock. They'll have fields L1 and L2 taken care of. Get out there and watch these kids, watch these coaches, how they handle themselves. A team to watch is Hamilton. Hamilton was down 3-0 yesterday. Hamilton's the team that you always see in the Little League World Series at the 12U level. So some of these kids you might see maybe winning a state or winning a world championship and bringing it back to Ohio. So baseball is a little bit different. It's pure at that level. They wear the emotions. So like what you see at high school, where if you give up a home run, these kids they break down and cry because they're not used to controlling those emotions yet. And on the other side of that, you're going to see a kid dancing on the base paths when he hits it 200 feet over a fence. I saw a 10-year-old hit a ball 215, 220 feet, and I've never seen a 10-year-old do that before. And it was a no-doubter. And, if you have a chance to make it down, Boardman Field of Dreams, I don't think there's a charge to get in. Little League does a great job of not charging. So come in, find yourself a seat, find yourself a spot, bring your own lawn chair, sit in the outfield. We'll be there tonight. But one of the best concessions, get a corn dog, number one, and save some room for ice cream because they do a great job at the Boardman Field of Dreams with their concessions. And it's awesome, man. Like it takes you back to when sports were pure. And that's the only thing in your life that mattered. That was it.
It's got to be so great with all the stuff going on in the professional league with the checking the pitchers and the trade negotiations that are going to be looming to just get back to the innocence of baseball, and have a little breath of fresh air from all the nuts of stuff in the professional
It is.
league.
I mean, the funnest thing about the Little League World Series when people watch it on TV is coaches supporting these kids. Like at the 10U level, you're still learning the game. right? But they're so advanced. These kids in these tournaments are so advanced that no matter the outcome of the scoreboard after 6 innings or, whatever it is, you walk away impressed because they carry themselves with such dignity and just high character young men and women, for that matter, that you can't help but be impressed and go, man, how do those coaches get those kids to be that strict or like disciplined, I guess is the better word for it. Because I remember when I was 10, man, I'm sitting there like, are we going for ice cream after the game or what are we doing? And these kids are all in, and they're coming from all over the state to Youngstown, Ohio, to the Boardman Field of Dreams. There's money coming into our economy. That's what it's a proud time to be from Northeast Ohio with everything that's going on. If you don't have anything to do tonight, all the way through Thursday, make your way to Boardman. It's right off McClurg Road or on McClurg Road, right next to what is it? The Ice Zone. What it used to be the Ice Zone. So a couple doors down. Like, stop in and enjoy some baseball, because in a world that we put so much on these high school athletes and middle school athletes, these kids are super impressive. And I think we can all go back to that and take a little bit away from that and say, we need to go and implement this in our programs, whether it just be a little bit more fun. There's kids out there that are just having a good time, and we need to go back to where sports was fun a little bit and why we play sports, not for scholarships,
Right.
not for scholarships, not for money necessarily. It's because it's a game, it's fun, and you get to play with your friends. And the 10U tournament that we're doing, and Chet Cooper's doing an excellent job. And again, the Boardman Community Baseball that puts this on with all their fields on display, to me, is one of the best fields in the entire area. And it's on display on YSN. You need to go check it out, especially if you've never been there. So that's my marketing pop.
On the network tonight is that those games from the Field of Dreams. No better venue than the Field of Dreams, where dreams come true.
That's it, man.
For these 10-year-old kids.
State title Thursday at, I think it's at 4. I think it's at 4. Because in case there's an if game, because everything ends on Thursday.
Right.
Boardman's now in the losers bracket after their loss yesterday to Highland. Team to watch is Highland. Team to watch is Hamilton. Those are your winners bracket guys, teams, and keep an eye on New Albany, because they're pretty good. Cuyahoga Falls was in an elimination game yesterday. They won handily. So it's going to be a fun night of baseball on the network. Once again, our ratings were out of this world. I mean, we had 4,000 people tune in for Little League Baseball yesterday. So that tells me football, if that's any indication, football this year, we're going to have to get an upgrade on our server again, because I think the goal for us is 4 million. We want 4 million people to tune in for football this year, and I think we can do it. So
Are you going to include the audible call viewers into that? Right? I mean, do they kind of get lumped into the football?
That's an interesting point. I haven't thought about that. We just did for football straight up last year. Right. I didn't even include the audible call. Audible call brought in probably 180,000 viewers. Right. Like, that 70,000 was an anomaly. I couldn't believe how many people were watching. And I actually had to go fact check that. Right. I had to go back and make sure we weren't trying to be hacked. But no, it was true. And that's on our website. That doesn't even include what people are watching on Facebook. There's two different avenues that we utilize, and it's amazing. 4 million is the goal for football this year. We got 4,000 yesterday alone for 4 games of baseball. So I think it's within reach. I really do. So if you're looking for sponsorship for a lot of eyeballs, go no further.
It's inching closer and closer. The first day of official practice is August 1st, which is coming up really quick. I think that's Sunday, right? Sunday is August 1st, and then Monday is the 2nd. And teams will be out there doing what they're supposed to be doing.
The new era starts today, baby. Yeah. Anthony Hartwig, big smile on your face.
I'll be back tomorrow from 12 to 3, and DJ and the boys will be on the Power Hour, and for the next hour from 3 to 4. Check that out. And want to give us a little preview on what you guys are talking about today?
I mean, we're going to talk about the trade deadline a lot. I mean, like we talked to Jim, there's a lot of people that think that their guys are worth a lot, and they're just not. Adam Frazier is not going to bring you back a 5-star possible Hall of Famer in a trade. I mean, a dime ain't worth $1, and a dime ain't worth $1. Get it right.
Unless you got the historic dimes that are super rare.
Even that, they're old.
My brother Tom does a big coin collector, and he's got coins from like the 1800s that you can find collectors that'll pay a lot of money for.
Well,
Which boggles my mind. It's like you're paying $1,000 for a dime. It's still a dime.
Yeah, man. Sorry about your luck.
Hey, if you'll give it to me today, I'll take it.
Still doesn't get you a quarter cup of coffee. You can pay all the money you want to for it. Everything's got value, right?
Right.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So I got to go.
All right. And we got to get out of here too. We'll be getting you set for Power Hour at 3:00. I'll be back tomorrow from 12 to 3. Until then, have a great rest of the Monday and tune into the network tonight for 10U baseball from the Field of Dreams. I'll see ya.